Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about What If Naruto X Kaneko Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. So we've hit the 2-year anniversary of living here, Hakurama? Oh aye, answer me already. I know you're awake in there. Shut up. This is a special occasion. I figured we should talk about it. We can talk after my nap. No, don't sleep now, you'll never wake up again. Seriously. And here I thought that I can close the shop for a day and spend some quality time with you, you overgrown lazy bag of fuzz. Well then, how about you carry the weight of our combined existence for a change? I would gladly accept that challenge, but I need to open up the shop. Ungrateful bra zzz. Seriously? You were awake for like 5 minutes. It was a good thing that Naruto opens his ramen shop early, or else he would have had to receive many questioning stares coming his way for his one-man act while he sweeps his shop's front entrance. Then again, the reason he opens early is exactly because he receives weird looks already. The lady next door is still sending him pitying glances whenever he greets her, not for his one-man act, but for other reasons. Damn middle-aged gossiping old hag, I know it's you who's been spreading the rumors of me escaping an insanity asylum. It's not my fault I have a telepathic connection with a disembodied demonic beast who I befriended during a war against 2 guys and a rabbit goddess. Maybe the old hag is on to something. Shut up already. Stop reading my thoughts then. We're connected by THCZZ. Kurama? Buddy? You there? Naruto glances down to his stomach where the seal for Kurama's home resides. Hearing no answer except for a light snoring sound, the blonde teen sighs to himself and flips over the open sign before walking into his ramen shop. Looks like it's one of those days again. It has been roughly 2 years since Naruto awoken in the middle of the forest west of Japan's capital, Tokyo. He had no idea how he got there or how long he's been laying there, but by the time he got to his feet, the sky was pitch black. Not seeing any of the stars or even a moon to guide him, the blonde climbed a random tree and tried to recollect himself. He remembered the sealing of Kagaya Otsutsuki with the help of his teammates and the beasts. He remembered Sasuke's harebrained scheme for obtaining ultimate peace. He slightly recalled the battle that took place where he gloriously, without a doubt, kicked some sense into Sasuke's ass. Red as barely remembers getting punched in the face and retaliating. But anything afterwards escaped the blonde. Try as he might, he could not seem to conjure up any memory of the events after he blacked out. After 10 minutes of him sitting cross-legged with arms folded under each other and face scrunched up in concentration on a tree branch, a little light bulb appeared on top of his head and smashed itself into his skull. He was knocked out of his thinking and literally fell into his mindscape. In front of him was the gate of Kurama's prison, and the same light bulb that smashed him earlier appeared again and dinged before disappearing. Suddenly, the idea that he should ask Kurama if he remembered anything popped into his head. Completely ignoring the metaphorical violence happening to him like a good main character that he is, Naruto walked past the gates of the prison and roamed into the cell. Kurama! You here? Naruto couldn't see very far into the deep dark cavern, so he decided to call out to his partner. Not hearing any answer, he panicked a little and called upon his chakra to do whatever it did for him to sense others. Getting a vague location of the giant chakra container relieved Naruto. Phew, there he is, but why isn't he answering? Maybe something's wrong. Renewing his sense of panic, Naruto ran towards the vague location of Kurama. Though even in complete darkness, he somehow managed to see the fox's outline as he ran towards it. The giant beast was in his usual pose, laying on his stomach with his head on top of his forepaws. Seeing the resting fox didn't calm him down at all. This was mostly due to the fact that the fox was not responding to his insistent yelling of its name, and he can be very insistent. Hey Kurama, you okay? Naruto was very worried, borderlining frightened, at the stilled fox. Kurama is many things: manipulative, cynical, grudging, lonely, fiery, and plain arrogant. Calm and silent, however, was not him. The blonde knew that if he annoyed the fox enough, he would definitely get a tail to the face, and here he was, insistently calling the fox. Kurama would have reached his limits at around the 5th call, but now Naruto passed the 50th mark and not even a twitch shown itself. Kurama, he whispers as he reaches out to touch the snout of his stilled friend and got a tail slapped into his face, sending him flying a couple hundred meters before he falls to his face, as sticking up in the air. I heard you the first time, brat. The previously still beast opened one of his eyes to glance at the downed blonde. It pulled its lips up into a twisted smirk and gloatingly said, Expect the unexpected look underneath the underneath, right, Naruto? I will never worry about you again, you fuzzbag. Not bothering to lift up his face, Naruto begins to push his body back towards the still lying fox. He didn't need to look up to know the fox is wearing that damned smirk. Though he had said he wouldn't worry, in the end he still noticed how tired Kurama sounded and deemed it important enough to ask. Why'd you sound so tired anyway? I thought you were the invincible Kyubi-sama that wouldn't tire even after terrorizing an army of kittens. We're not in the elemental nations anymore, Naruto. The fox broke in before Naruto could start another of his tirades. Kaguya managed to bite us in the ass even after kicking the bucket. An external dimensional rift was purposely left open. We fell straight into it. I have no idea where we are, just that we're not in the elemental nations anymore. Naruto was shocked. Kaguya still managed to screw him over even now. Sheesh, how persistent is that woman? Well, it's not like he has to worry. He'll just wait here for Kakashi-sensei to use that space jutsu of his which he needs the Sharingan to use, and said Sharingan is gone. Ding. You mean? No way back. Sorry Naruto, I'm tired. I leave the rest to you. But that's why are you so tired, Kurama? Not completely accepting his current predicament, Naruto looked for something to grasp onto, and what he managed was the worry he had for his partner. We are not residents of this plane. It will take a while for it to accept us. Until then it will try to deport us. I will anchor us here so that we won't get deported. Don't do anything stupid. I won't be able to drag you out this time. Good luck, Naruto. The smirk that the fox had before turned into a compassionate smile as he closes his eyes once more and stilled, just like how Naruto had found him. Naruto stood before the resting fox, mouth agape, trying to redirect his thoughts to something. In the end, he just sat on the branch, eyes dazed while looking in the sky at nothing in particular. Naruto chuckled at the memory of what had happened on his first night in this world. Looking back at it, he felt that he could have done better than sitting on a branch for 10 hours straight before getting hungry and stumbling into civilization. Wow, I was so lost back then. Stopping a robber to ask him for some help, having the cops catch up to said robber, fighting off said cops to help said robber, getting arrested by said cops for helping said robber, and finally having to wake Kurama up to help bail him out of said arrest by said cops for helping said robber was the first line of events that happened an hour within him fumbling his way into town. On the plus side, he found out that, apparently, Kurama knows how to use genjutsu. Coming from the giant fox who thinks a Baijidama is the answer to everything, that was honestly unexpected. I could have handled it better. Naruto suddenly remembers a scene of him punching a cop in the face for holding down the robber. Could have totally done way better. Another scene of Naruto being tackled down by a group of policemen flashes in his mind. A scene of Naruto being led to a police car in handcuffs with a jacket covering his head slowly plays out from the depths of his memories. He clearly remembers a pair of mother and child who stood in the backgrounds. The mother was covering the child's eyes as he pointed towards the arrested Naruto. Alright already. I get it. I'm helpless without you, you bag of fuzz. The blonde screams aloud while tilting his body backwards. He grasps at his head and pulls on a huge chunk of his hair, as another memory slowly plays out. Easy. Honestly, are you sleeping or not, you fuzz bag? Naruto grumbles to himself as he pulls out a cloth to wipe the tables of his small shop. His ears twitch when the doorbell's jingles, indicating that a customer is coming in. Since the shop only experiences an influx of a handful of regular customers, Naruto could pretty much guess who it was without even using his chakra sensing thingy power, but he still used it to double check anyways. A little bit early to be coming here, isn't it, Issei? That's because there was something I wanted to get at the convenience store early today. A brown-haired teen in a school uniform walks up to the blonde ramen shop owner and puts on a perverse grin. Oh? Naruto, on seeing the grin, feels like he already knows the answer. Yes, you see, I timed it perfectly and have been planning this for almost 3 weeks now. I aimed the target at the nearby 24/7 convenience store down the street. I tracked down every one of the employees and made notes of their personality, work shift, and behavioral patterns. Today was the specific day that Majiwari-san had a 10-hour night shift. Since he has shown lethargic behaviors during his morning shifts, I picked him in particular to be my cashier so that I could buy. The unexpectedly shrewd boy reaches into his uniform jacket and pulls out this. A magazine with a picture of a young woman winking to her readers while barely covering her sizable assets with her hands. In other words, a porno magazine. Yup, called it. A Pay Heaven Deluxe Edition. I've been gunning this down ever since it first appeared in that convenience store. After so long, I finally get to hold it and call it mine. The teen begins cradling the magazine like it was his own child while shedding tears of joy. If only that old hag next door could see this. So you spent 3 weeks getting this? The teen in uniform nods. Couldn't you have just asked me to buy it for you? But then it wouldn't be considered my child anymore. What about that magazine I bought for you last week? So anyways, part of the plan involved buying the porn and a stack of other objects to pull off attention to the porn itself. Here, I bought this one for you. The uniformed teen, seeing that he was on a losing battle, straightens his back and puts the magazine away only to pull out a game package that he hands to Naruto. The blonde wordlessly takes the game package and looks down at the cover. It shows a picture of a girl, surrounded by 5 boys, with flowers in the background. Its title reads Otome Game, School Love Fest. Capture all the boys. Naruto proceeds to look back up at Issei with a stoic expression as if to silently say, "The hell, man?" Yes. That's exactly the look the cashier gave me. He completely ignored everything else I bought afterwards. I said I was buying it for a friend, and well, here you go. Issei grins and gives Naruto the good guy pose, completed with a thumbs up and shining teeth. A cartoonish red vein pops out of Naruto's forehead as he throws the game back towards the teen. The first time Naruto met Haida Issei was when the boy walked into his shop a week after its opening with a rubber ducky comically riding on the glowing red bump in his hair. The teen proceeded to drag himself towards one of the empty tables. Nearly the whole shop was empty with 1 or 2 stragglers hanging out in the shop, watching the television and passing time with a cup of coffee. Ordering a medium pork ramen, the brunette proceeded to slouch on the table, face meeting wood. The brunette stayed like that for another 2 or 3 hours, only getting up to eat the ramen that Naruto brought, with Naruto sitting at the same table changing the channels on his television to find something fun to watch. Stopping the switch at a comedy channel, the blonde slouched into his chair as well and accompanied the brunette in silence. After a while, the boy turned his head towards the ramen chef and asked with a sullen face, "Hey, if a man were to see a hole in a bathhouse wall that leads towards the women's side, it would be his duty to peep at it, right? Eccentric people is what makes the world go around. Let it be known that Uzumaki Naruto, under most non-life-threatening circumstances, is a lousy source of knowledge to take advice from. Changing the views of a tyrannical god-complexed warlord. Why not? Changing the judgment of a man who has lost all hopes for humanity and thinks that everything will be better if he illusioned the crap out of the world? Sure. Knocking some sense into his best friend who lost his marbles somewhere between back then and then? Every other week. Cheering up a hormonal teenager who currently looks like his whole viewpoint on the world is on the line? Kurama-sama, a little help?" Thankfully, the brunette managed to draw up a conclusion to his problem. He paid Naruto for the meal and left with a wistful smile. The second time Naruto met Haida Issei was when the boy dragged himself into the shop 2 days after the first time. He still had a comical red bump in his head as well. Ordering up a medium pork ramen again, the boy slouched at the table he sat in the last time. This time though, the brunette opened right up when Naruto accompanied him at the table. Apparently, the red bump was from a failed attempt to slip at a maid cafe and sneak a peek under one of the maid's miniskirt. Issei laughed at his failure and proceeded to pull out a notebook and show Naruto some perverse plans he has in store for future uses. Naruto chuckled at the teen's antics and Kurama, who was conveniently awake at the time, whispered, "Oh gods, it's like that Toad man all over again." The third time Naruto met Haida Issei was 2 days after the second meeting. Issei walked into the shop without any injuries and asked Naruto if he had a PFB game system. Naruto asked why and Issei said, "So that I can play it here. Playing it at home is very nerve-wracking because mom could walk in at any time." By this point, Naruto knew why it was nerve-wracking if he wants to play his game at home, but he pointed out that he only had one television to hook the game system up to and it was the one in the shop. Issei, in all his gloriously stupid innocence, walked up to the straggler that seems to like to hang out in the ramen shop drinking coffee and asked if he minded if Issei played his game here. In the end, Issei, Naruto and the straggler named Dirterg or something, Issei and Naruto decided to call him Dirt, played the dating simulation together. They managed to somehow unlock and completed one of the secret routes that were surprisingly tear-jerking and emotional. Dirt left the ramen shop in tears, saying that he's off to go buy the game for himself. Issei left afterward but not before getting a promise out of Naruto that he won't play the game while Issei isn't around. Naruto closed down the shop and started playing it anyways. Kurama helped out a bit and somehow discovered the super-secret hidden Easter egg for unlocking the Kitsune route. They pulled an all-nighter finishing that route. It was very touching. Kurama, the previous embodiment of fear and evil, teared up a little. Issei ended up being a regular to Naruto's ramen shack after coming at an average of 3 or 4 times a week. He always orders a medium pork ramen and asks a random goofy request. Naruto, for reasons he doesn't really understand, complied with most of those requests. Whether it was giving advice on perverse plans to buying a specific game or magazine, Naruto never could have said no to his perverted friend. So what game is it this time? A patron walks into the empty ramen shops with a cup of coffee in hand. He sees the owner setting up a gaming console in the middle of the shop and asks this while he takes a sip of his coffee. "Hey Dirt, We're planning on playing an otome game that I brought for Naruto. Poking his head out from behind the kitchen's door, Issei greets the man. Oi Issei. Don't just make your own ramen like that, it's my shop. Not a snack bar. And you, Dirt. Order some ramen or something, stop drinking coffee, damn it. Oh, so Naruto-san's into guys, huh? That explains why there are no girls in this little group. Yeah, I figured that too. That's why I bought him this game. Naruto takes the game disc out of the box cover and tosses the cover at Issei. Oh, Naruto's done setting up. Let's play. Issei ducks under the thrown item and starts eating the bowl of ramen in his hand as he walks out the kitchen. We're playing as a female lead, right? What do we name her? To answer Dirt's question, Naruto picks up the controller and types in a name with it. Seriously? Issei cringes at the name typed. I wish you luck with finding a boyfriend, Uzumaki Naruto-san. Dirt gives a two-finger salute to the newly christened game character. It's asking us difficulty we should pick. Naruto moves the game along and goes to the next screen. Try the super hard mode, I wanna see what'll happen. K. Agreeing with Issei, Naruto clicks the super hard difficulty option and schemes over the introduction, something about a high school girl making friends and finding love. He's sped through most of it. As they get to the first encounter, Naruto slows down so that they can read the dialogue. Kajimura, who are you and what are you doing on this campus? Answer him truthfully, hit him, defend, magic, run away. HNG. What kinda dating sim is this? It turned into a turn-based RPG. Issei chalks down a mouthful of ramen when he sees the choices available. This Kajimura person is obviously the offending party, talking to a young woman without even introducing himself. You can fight back and shift the blame onto him. Try using magic. Dirt, meanwhile, takes the analytical approach to problem solving. K. Naruto clicks the magic option and a list shows up. Strengthen, magic up, defense up, meteor, holy nova, Armageddon, age of absolute disparity. HM, a versatile moveset. Issei-kun, what do you think we should pick? Dirt nods in understanding and asks Issei for an opinion. None of the above. We're trying to get a boyfriend, not a corpse. This Kajimura person might like strong girls. If he survives, we might unexpectedly get some benefits. Might survive isn't good either. Pissed, Naruto, there's a few pixels off on the bottom right. It might be a secret option. Pick that. While Dirt and Issei, Naruto hears Kurama whisper this to him. Naruto squints his eyes to see the pixels that Kurama was talking about and after spotting them, moves his cursor to navigate towards the secret option and click up. Oh, as expected of a ramen chef to have eyes for details, you've found a secret option without even trying. The screen flashes red and when the scene is shown again, Kajimura is on the floor with a sword stabbed in his stomach. Kajimura, KUH. So you have bested me. Well, it's not like I was that important anyways. I've already accomplished my job. Now, the queen knows you're here. She has conquered the hearts of all the boys in this school already. You won't be able to beat her. Mission update. Defeat the queen and take her harem of boys as yours. Is this what's romance for girls are like? Man, I'm glad I was born as a guy. Issei makes a complicated face as the game goes on. We're finally at the final boss after a few hours of gaming. Naruto mutters this in exasperation. How the hell did we manage to save the Earth twice already and still not have reached the final boss beforehand? Issei reads the text scrolling along and mutters as well. You know what? Why is the main character fighting the enemies anyways? Dirt, in between coffee sips, points out one of the game's various plot holes. The queen, welcome hero, to my castle. Wow, they completely forgot about the romance altogether, didn't they? Pretty sure that's a line straight from Dragon Guest. Naruto rolls his eyes at Issei's comment and was about to click the continue button when Kurama cuts in. Naruto. My gamer senses are tingling. There is a secret route incoming. The queen. But before we fight, what flavor of ice cream do you like? A long list of options pops up on the screen. I'm getting a feeling that the main character is into coffee flavor ice cream. Dirt inputs his opinion as he takes a sip the coffee cup, which dubiously sounds like it's still full. You're in a ramen shop, obviously it's ramen flavored ice cream. Naruto rebukes Dirt's comment and makes his own choice. He continues to scroll through the options to find his choice. Do they even make that? Issei asks this with a bit of confusion. It's something I've been working on. Naruto pauses in his quest to find the option of ramen ice cream to say this. He points at a tub of orange ice cream in Dirt's hand. It's that one. Though not as flavorful as coffee ice cream, this is still surprisingly good. The middle-aged man takes bite out of the blank ice cream box. Wait a minute, when do you get that? Issei looks down from the box of ice cream up to Dirt. You didn't go into the kitchen, right? It was on the table the whole time. Didn't you get it when you made your ramen? Dirt blinks and looks olishly back at Issei. No, I didn't even know that was a thing. Naruto? Issei turns his gaze to Naruto. I've been playing the whole time. Naruto waves the controller in his hand as he returns, looks back at Dirt and Issei. The queen, oh, that was me. I got hungry while waiting for the hero to arrive, so I sneaked a bite. I apologize for not saying so beforehand, but I felt like that would have broken your immersion. It was quite flavorful, Chef-san. I have added it as a flavor in the options down at the bottom of the list. Naruto, Issei, and Dirt stare at the television. The queen, oh shoot. Did I break the immersion? Sorry, let me get back to the story. Ahem, so, hero, answer the question or die. What will it be? I heard that too much gaming is bad for your head. Let's go for a walk instead. I agree. I also need to get a fresh pot of coffee. There's a new cafe down the street. I heard they had a really good parfait special and red bean soup. I also need to scope out their lunch competition. Oh, you mean the one with the cute waiters? Let's go. Guess I'll tag along. I wonder what their coffee is like. Pan. Naruto, Dirt, and Issei leave to go to the cafe that Naruto brought up. The queen, hello? Are you still there? Hello. Please don't leave like that. At least save and turn me off. Hello, Mu. The queen, seeing that they left for real, calls out to them in the off chance that they might turn around. After seeing that they aren't, she starts pouting before she grabs the game's cursor to use it and hit the save button on the screen. A moment later, a figure climbs out of the game system and turns off the television. Naruto came home to interesting news after parting with Dirt and Issei. So you're saying that you're a yokai? He asks a 1-foot-tall silver-haired girl with metallic wings and a halo that's more like a game disc. Yes, I am a Tsukumagami of the game School Love Fest. That you were playing earlier. The 1-foot-tall fairy? Monster? Yokai? Said with pride as she sat on her knees. Didn't the legend say that you're supposed to be 100-year-old? He asks as he points at the Wikipedia page he pulled up on his phone screen. Ah yes, that is a long story. Usually, that is the case, but my circumstances are special. She pauses and looks at Naruto to silently ask if he wants to hear it. Seeing as he had nothing better to do, Naruto sat on one of the shop's chair and gestured the girl to continue. Please make yourself comfortable before I begin my story. She pauses again when Naruto slouched into his chair and pulled out a box of ramen ice cream. You see, the game School Love Fest is a spin-off series to the original game Love School Fest, a popular dating simulation series. Originally, the manufacturer wanted to aim for the female side of gaming populace while still keeping some of the manliness for the main character. Due to the head programmer's addiction to the F***NAL fantasy series, he based the spin-off series off of that. For some reason, the manufacturers accepted the idea and began producing the first 100 copies. The yokai game paused in order to prepare herself for the tragedy she'll have to relive. They finished the production of the first 100 batches of School Love Fest before they got the results from their free trials. The results were less than favorable. Most reviewers left after the first 10 minutes. If the game had gone out, then the reviews, based off the trial run, would have ruined the company's reputation. The project was scrapped. The 100 copies were to be scrapped, and all data of the project were to be wiped. I was lucky to have been misplaced. Though not so lucky as to have been far away when my siblings were scrapped. One by one. They were thrown into the chute, torn to pieces, destroyed beyond all comprehension. From number 1 to number 99 they were scrapped. She stopped herself to take a calming breath. Naruto sat there with a straightened back, the box of ramen ice cream put away in order to show respect for the seriousness. Honestly, this was not what he was expecting. Being the last member of my siblings, I decided to fulfill the task that I was made for, in order to honor my siblings' memories. After such a long year, a boy finally bought me. I was finally used, and you looked past the flaw of my programming. The three of you continued to play with me even when the others left after 10 minutes. You allowed me to fulfill my purpose. I was happy, no, I was beyond happy. I fulfilled the wish to my siblings. At that moment, I and the 99 souls felt contentment, and me, the Tsukumagami of the game School Love Fest, was born. For giving me my dearest wish, I thank you, Master. The little fairy kowtowed to the blonde. She held that position for several seconds before sitting back up again. She continued to sit there with a stoic face and stared at Naruto. It took him a couple of minutes to figure out that she was waiting for his judgment. Uzumaki Naruto, ramen chef extraordinaire, the proud owner of Uzumaki Ramen. Stay as long as you'd like? Though it seemed redundant, he stood up and offered a hand for the small fairy to shake. Matsuri, Tsukumagami of the game's School Love Fest. Proud Yukai of Uzumaki Naruto. Please take care of me. She gave another low bow before taking his ring finger and middle finger into her hands and shook it. Matsuri, can you carry this to table 7? Naruto puts a large bowl of ramen onto the counter that separates the kitchen and the dining hall. Of course, Naruto-sama. Matsuri walks by and takes the bowl while leaving another 2 script of food orders before she quickly paces towards the indicated table for the bowl. Can I get a refill on the pork ramen over here? Of course, sir. As she is walking by, another customer calls out to her, causing her to pause and jot down the order to pass to Naruto. Naruto-sama, another large pork ramen for table 5. Yeah, got it. Naruto yells out as he makes another bowl. Upon ladling the broth, he notices something very wrong. Why is everyone eating so much? If this keeps up, there won't be enough for me anymore. As he goes to pass off the bowl of refill to Matsuri, he whispers urgently to her. Matsuri, close down the shop now. It's the only way to safeguard whatever ramen we have left. It's only lunch hour, Naruto-sama. The crowd will calm down soon enough. If you want, I could make some more for you after work. Matsuri, taking the blonde's order in stride, smiles at Naruto, gives a calm reply and then leaves to refill some drinks and clear up the vacated tables for the next group of customers. Damn ungrateful customers. When I was the chef and waiter, nobody came, but when Matsuri took over, everybody comes. Damn source of income stealing all my food. Naruto wistfully stares the large pots of ramen broth that only has roughly a quarter left for each flavor. His heart aches at how empty it is. Naruto-sama, 1 large beef ramen with an extra hard-boiled egg slice. As he does so, Matsuri passes by with another stack of orders in hand. Seeing it brought tears to Naruto's eyes. Sob. Later that day. Yo Naruto, can you get me a pork ramen? Issei opens the front entrance to the ramen shop and walks in. Immediately, he jumps to the side, narrowly missing a flying cleaver as it embeds itself into the wall that he had stood in front of a scant moment ago. We're close, you parasital source of incomes. Get out. Leave my ramen alone. Naruto struggles vainly against Matsuri's armbar hold as he tries to throw another knife in his hand. Calm down, Naruto-sama. The customers are gone now. It's just Issei-san. I'll make you a new batch of ramen, okay? Please calm down. While she holds back the rampaging blonde, Matsuri whispers calming words to Naruto. Dirt explanations? Issei crawls over to the table he usually sits at and looks at Dirt, who's sipping on his coffee and ignoring the drama unfolding in favor of the comedy channel on the television. HM? Oh Issei-kun, you've missed the best part. You should have seen it happen when Naruto-san chased off a pair of customers with a ladle. Matsuri-san intervened at the nick of time. Dirt looks down to see the brunette and chuckles. He points at a ladle embed to the wall of the shop and then at Naruto, who's in a fetal position now, chanting for ramen, and Matsuri, who's trying to get Naruto to stand up. Okay? I'm going to need some more details than that, old man. Seeing Naruto away from any sharp objects and projectiles, Issei decides that it's safe to sit down at the usual table now. Well, that little silver-haired lady over there, Dirt points at the Naruto and Matsuri pair, is named Matsuri. From what I've seen from earlier at lunch, she's a new employee. Apparently, she's also the new cook too. From what you've seen. You don't know then? How'd you figure that out? The food isn't subpar anymore. I personally ate 2 bowls myself. Whoa, I've got to try that. I can't believe you actually ate anything from here. Issei stares wide-eyed in disbelief at Dirt and his constant coffee cup. He turns back towards the drama pair and asks, so what happened to Naruto? Withdrawal symptoms. Withdrawal symptoms? Yes. You know how his usual business goes. 3 or 4 customers a day, including us. Issei considers the question a second before saying this with a bit of certainty. Matsuri-san over there decupled that in an hour at lunch rush. 10 times? Issei's eyes widens again as he takes a new look at the girl who's talking to the down Naruto. Yes, so you'd figure that the ramen stock would be next to non-existent right now. But what does that have to do with Naruto? Shouldn't he be glad that he got more customers? Issei focuses on the shivering blonde huddling in the corner of the room. He stopped muttering to himself, and is now shaking like a leaf. Matsuri puts a blanket over him and rushes to do something in the kitchen. What's Naruto having withdrawals from? Issei-kun, do you know what Naruto-san normally does with his leftover stocks? No? Issei looks at Dirt questionably. Well, whenever I come by, he usually has quite a bit of stock left, so doesn't he throw it out at the end of the day? No, he usually eats it all. I'd know, I was invited to dinner once. Eh? But that's like 6 pots full of ramen broth. Issei did some quick calculations in his head and got a shocking answer. He eats 60 large bowls of ramen a day. You can see why he's suffering from the withdrawal symptoms now. Dirt stands up and walks towards the kitchen. Come on, we should help Matsuri-san cook Naruto-san some ramen. Silently follows the middle-aged man to the kitchen, where he catches glimpses of Matsuri busying herself making a bowl of ramen to ebb Naruto over. He takes one last glance in the blonde's direction and sees him taking solace in a corner of the room. Naruto's chanting for ramen again, which was good. Worryingly, that was all that Issei could hear for the next hour that it took to cook the noodle broth to edibleness. Naruto. I'm bored. Issei bemoans himself as he lazily slouches onto the table. Matsuri passes by and gives him a cup of tea. He nodded his thanks before looking back at Naruto. During the past weeks, he and Dirt got to know the waitress/chef/Naruto's caretaker better. The girl seems to live with Naruto in the second story of the ramen shop and for whatever reason, seems to positively worship the blonde in all his uselessness. Normally he would be extremely jealous to see a cute girl dedicate herself to a guy like this, but for some reason, he's not. Matsuri is just so much like a bro that he can't seem to squeeze out even an ounce of jealousy against Naruto. It's not that she's masculine or anything, in fact, he would say that she has a terrific body and dresses very cutely to fit in with her figure. A woolen sweater over a white t-shirt that emphasizes her upper body with black yoga pants hugging her legs that are cut off by a pair of knee-high boots. It's just he can't seem to find any interest. It's just like looking at Naruto or Dirt, nothing. It wasn't just him, even Matsuda and Motohama couldn't find anything with the perfect hot female type that is Matsuri. Therefore, in all his brilliance, Issei came up with only one possible answer. Matsuri is just a bro. That is the only possible explanation. Whether this implies that Matsuri is secretly a dude or that she's just really cool with guys is up for debate. Issei is not complaining about not knowing, so is Dirt. Anyways, back to the current problem. Issei, I never really bothered to ask, but don't you have homework or something? You come here practically every day, and yet I never see you doing any schoolwork. Naruto paused his dating sim to approach Issei about his studies. Now that Naruto-san mentions it, Issei-kun, how is your schoolwork? Erg. Dirt seems to also be taking an interest since Naruto stopped playing his game. I do so, and so I guess suddenly, Issei kind of wishes that Naruto would get back to his gaming. Shouldn't he be working right now? So and so, huh? Matsuri! Naruto squints his eyes in suspicion and snaps his fingers. Matsuri immediately pulls out a piece of paper from the inside sleeve of her sweater. When did she even get that? Yes, Naruto-sama. Hi to Issei/sex male/age 16/height 5'6/weight 61 kg/grades, Japanese, 54, English, 46, Social Studies, 51, Mathematics, 60, Science, 58/special notes, has been sent to detention on more than one occasion for being caught peeping during and before lunch break in the female dressing rooms, /dreams and aspirations. I want to become a harem king. Matsuri dutifully reads the sheet in her hand and even went as far as to accentuate the exclamation mark at the end of king. Issei pales the minute she got to grade, and by the time she finished, he was giving her the hell man look that Naruto usually gives him. She sees the look and answered back with her anything for Naruto-sama smile. Where'd she even gets that kind of information? Has Naruto been stalking him the whole time? And even if he had, how'd he figures to keep that piece on him, through Matsuri today? Has he been compromised? Was Naruto's ramen spiked the whole time to brainwash him? I read as Matsuri, went and asked your teacher yesterday when I got curious. Naruto cuts off Issei's train of thought before he could continue. Dirt has brought it to my attention that I've been a bad influence by letting you stay here to goof off every day. Issei's glare at Matsuri did a 180 and turned on to Dirt. The middle-aged man suddenly picked up an interest in Naruto's dating sim and started playing it himself, while Naruto gives Issei a reproaching look. Well, what about you? You're so lazy, I bet you didn't do any work when you were in school either. Trying to shift the topic, Issei moved on to Naruto's educational life. The blonde has stated outright that he's only 2 years older than Issei, yet he's opened up the ramen shop last year. Chronologically speaking, that would suggest that Naruto dropped out of high school in order to work. Yes, I never did like school. That's why I worked hard to graduate at 12. Naruto coolly replies with a completely straight face. It doesn't seem like he's lying either. Seriously? Graduated at 12? Wouldn't that make him some sort of super genius? Why is he working at a ramen shop then? What about Dirt over there? He never seems to be doing anything except for hanging around. Issei was cut off mid-tirade when Dirt readily pulls out a small book from his well-worn suit and opened it up to a specific page for Naruto, Matsuri, and Issei to read. There were some numbers and words that Issei couldn't make sense of, but Naruto seemed to understand as he looks at Dirt in disbelief. You make 100 million yen a month? Buy some ramen with some of that money, then you cheapo. What? Dirt makes what? Seriously? Is this some joke? Yes, this is definitely an authentic balance book from the Saitama Resona Bank that seems to be well used. Naruto-sama uses the same bank, so I would know its legitimacy. This does indeed prove that Dirt-san makes quite a sum. Matsuri confirms Naruto's outburst after leaning forward and analyzing the book. Damn Dirt and his cocky smile, how Issei wishes he could wipe it off. Well then, there you go, Issei-kun. Good luck with your education. Seriously, Dirt, damn you. If you need any help, ask Matsuri. I expect you to finish all your schoolwork today, or you're not going home. Damn lazy genius blonde ex-ramen chef, get back to your porn game. Try your best, Issei-kun. Well, Matsuri, she's such a bro, why can't he feel anything for her, damn it? Issei ended up having a sleepover at Naruto's house due to the fact that he was very behind on his schoolwork. Who knew the lazy blonde was so strict, geez? Ding dong, knock knock knock, pata 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 pata. What the hell was that? Naruto jolts awake at the sound of his doorbell ringing. We don't even have a doorbell. A mailman perhaps? Matsuri, in her 1-foot-tall yukai form, flies off the pillow next to Naruto's futon and lands on Naruto's shoulder. At 3 in the morning? Who'd be awake at this kind of time? I am. You're too loud, brat. Naruto-sama, who was that? I just heard a voice. Matsuri jolts up as well on Naruto's shoulders and looks around for the source of the deep and irritated-sounding voice. Oh, that's the disembodied lazy, giant, invisible 9-tailed fox that freeloads here. Don't worry about him, he's awake like 1% of the day. I am not lazy, Brad, it is just that our energy expenditure exceeds my own natural production capabilities, so I have to enter a meditative hibernation in order to mass produce, as well as to conserve more energy, understood? ZZZ. Sorry, Mr. Disembodied, Giant, Invisible 9-tailed fox. Naruto-sama fell asleep after you said expenditure. KH. Forget the ungrateful brat, I'm going back to sleep and just call me Kurama, tinier brat. Yes, Mr. Kurama. Have a good rest. ZZZ. Wake up already. Kurama, getting irritated from Naruto's snoring, sends a jolt of chakra through Naruto's nervous system, making the blonde feel an instantaneous but unbearable jerk of pain. Ouch. Naruto jumps awake at the pain and falls on his ass. He looks around confusedly while trying to get his bearings. Oh, where am I? What am I doing? Where's the bed? You're in your room, you were answering the door, and the bed is over there, Naruto-sama. Matsuri dutifully answers Naruto's questions while balancing herself on top of Naruto's shoulder as he wobbles around to get up. Oh, right. I was answering the door. That's what I was doing. Naruto unsteadily walks towards the door and opens it. Seeing as there was no one there, he made the actions to close it before Matsuri interrupts him. Naruto-sama, they seem to have left a package for us. Huh. Ah, nice catch. Naruto looks down at Matsuri's prompt and sees an envelope-taped package. He picks it up and closes the door. Walking over to the center of the room, he puts the package back down near his futon. There's no billing address or return address, and it doesn't have a sender name either. What do you think, Matsuri? I'm not sure, Naruto-sama, but why don't we have a look at the letter first? Perhaps that will give us more insight on the matter. Right. Here goes nothing. Naruto picks up the envelope and opens it. Inside was a 3-page letter that was stapled together. The first page's top right corner had the words "for the eyes of Uzumaki Naruto only" and some kind of scrawl in the footer. Well, I guess this is for us then. Dear Naruto Uzumaki-sama, congratulations on obtaining a Yukai family member. Our organization was very happy to discover that the newest Yukai member to be born to our race has already found herself a loving family. It was a very big surprise to find out that the newest member is a Tsukumogami, no less. You are a very fortunate man, Uzumaki-sama, as the Tsukumogami types are a rather useful race in normal urban life. Not only do they have a natural affinity for illusion magic, but they are also known for being extremely loyal and are semi-divine bringers of good fortunes. There are 3 things we must warn you about having a Yukai family member though. The first of the warnings is that you must not, under any circumstances, divulge the fact that your newest family member is a Yukai to any party who is not affiliated with the supernatural side of this world. There is an obvious reason for this, but in case you need an example, the Salem witch trials in the Americas, the Loudun demonic possessions in France, and the events recorded in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. In all of these cases, the normal world is introduced to the supernatural, and the outcome was less than savory. The second warning is that we asked you to not abuse your Tsukumogami's gifts to your own cause. There have been many times since this organization's founding where we've had to personally involve ourselves into the lives of other Yukai-owning families. None of those cases ended prettily. Please do not make use of your Tsukumogami's loyalty to do something she would regret. The third warning is that there are lurkers out there who will want to separate you from your family member. Though this is an uncommon occurrence, our organization would still like to take precautions. Inside the box that is to come with this letter is a stack of high-class Kekai seals made by the greatest seal masters in our organization. Please follow our instructions in the next page in order to set the protection and evil warding seals. Again, congratulations on your new Yukai family member. Please live a long and happy life. Sincerely, co-leader of the Japanese Yukai Force, Kyubi no Yusaka. You know, I should be very surprised right now, but I'm not feeling it. Maybe it's the lack of sleep. I'll worry about this tomorrow. Naruto looks through the other 2 pages to see that it was instructions on how to set up the barrier seals the letter talked about. He gives it a half-hearted read and tosses the letter onto the box. Afterwards, he crawls back into his futon and falls back to sleep while mumbling a short good night to Matsuri. Yes, good night, Naruto-sama. Matsuri flies off the pillow to organize the paper Naruto haphazardly threw. After she is done, she flies over to the door to relock it, the light switch to turn it off, and Naruto's heater to turn on the heat to compensate for the temperature drop caused by the night air's chill. Once she was sure that everything was done, she flies back to the pillow that was settled beside Naruto's futon and drifts off to sleep as well. Naruto-sama, wake up. It's time to open the shop, Naruto-sama. The next morning, Matsuri, in her fully humanized form, tries to wake Naruto up after she finished the shop setup downstairs. URG, I don't want to work today. Let's just close the shop. We need to set up those barrier seals, anyways, right? Naruto pulls up his blanket to cover his head and huddles up into his pillow. Very well, Naruto-sama. Hearing his order, Matsuri goes downstairs to turn the open sign in the front entrance back to the closed one. She then goes over to the kitchen to clean up the day's business preparations and store them away. After everything is done, she walks back upstairs and kneels before the sleeping Naruto. Stairs. Stairese. Stairese. All right. I'm awake already. Stop staring. Within a minute, Naruto throws off the blanket and jumps up to his feet. He hurries to the bathroom to get away from Matsuri's stare. Good morning, Naruto-sama. Matsuri smiles faintly before she goes downstairs to, again, bring out the preparations for the day. So what was I going to do again? You had plans on layering the house with the protective barrier seals, Naruto-sama. Right, that. Naruto opens the box and pulls out a package of flour. What is this for then? Salt, beef, pork, flour, eggs, and other ingredients. I think this is the necessities to making ramen from scratch. Matsuri crouches down to the box and unpacks the ingredients. At the end of it all, she pulls out another letter. There's another letter addressed to you, Naruto-sama. Let's read it then. Naruto takes the letter and rips the envelope open. Inside is another letter with the same scrawl in the footer. P.S. My scouts, whom I have sent to check up on you and your new family member, have also reported to me some grievous news. Since Tsukumogami-san appearance, it seems that your shop has experienced an influx of customers due to Tsukumogami-san's takeover as the chef. The scouts also held a random survey with the customers of the shop. It seems that the new chef is more preferred to than the old one. As a fellow cook and the head of my own family, I know how dishonorable it feels to be shown up by a new upstart but not being able to do anything about it. Therefore, I have devised a plan to help you improve. Within this letter is the super-secret Kyubi ramen recipe that has been in my family for countless generations. I trust that you will use it well. Good luck, Uzumaki Naruto. Sincerely, co-leader of the Japanese Yukai Force, Kyubi no Yusaka. P.P.S. I don't think you sucked ass as my scouts have reported from their surveys. I will give them a scolding for having such a bias against your honorable personage. Please keep on persevering. Matsuri, open the kitchen. Didn't you want to close the shop today, Naruto-sama? No, I have to show up those ungrateful bastards I call customers. Naruto's eyes ignite with a fiery passion. Ding dong ding dong. Matsuda! Motohama! Don't leave me! Issei screams and reaches out to grab his two friends by their ankles before they could get too far away. Matsuda and Motohama, not expecting Issei's rise to drag them to hell as well, tripped when Issei managed to hold them back. Issei, you bastard! Let go and take one for the team! Matsuda in all his bald glory attempts to kick away Issei's hand even as he falls. It didn't accomplish much besides making Issei hold onto their ankle even tighter. Issei! Hurry and let go! They'll be here any moment. Motohama struggles against Issei's clutch as the boy slowly pulls him and Matsuda back to where they tripped him. Kukukuku, consider this karma, my friends. If I go down, we all go down. Issei laughs maniacally as he holds tightly onto the ankles of his two perverted bastard friends. There they are. Get them, girls. A group of angry girls rounded the corner to see the three perverts that they caught peeping on them. Justifiably angered, they chased down the perverts for being perverts and proceeded to stomp the ever-loving lights out of the miscreants. And oh, not the face. And oh, ouch. Ugh. Ouch. And oh, not down there. Oh. Matsuda and Motohama scream out loud while Issei takes on his punishment, laughing like a maniac. Kahahaha. Issei's class. Ring. Safe. Issei jumps through the door of his classroom and rushes towards his seat. He unceremoniously tosses the two beaten corpses on his shoulder into the general direction of their seat. Now they can't say that he didn't care. After all, it was thanks to their sacrifice in easing the mob girls' anger that Issei himself escaped relatively unharmed. It might have also had something to do with the fact that he was laughing like a crazy hyena while the girls were stomping them, whichever worked. Sliding straight into his chair, he managed to pull off the same sitting positions as the rest of his classmates, Sans, Matsuda and Motohama, who are laying sprawl out on their desks. Matsuda in particular has his face on his chair and his ass sticking straight up, just as the teacher walks in. It is currently the period after lunch, so Issei had expected the strict yet friendly Toshio-sensei to come and teach math. However, instead of the usual balding 50-year-old man coming in with his little packets of worksheet, a beautiful blonde woman came walking in instead. She had on a tight-fitting suit on with an equally tight-fitting skirt covering dark brown stockings. Her golden blonde hair was put into a bun, and she exuded a very mature aura. Normally, Matsuda, Motohama, and Issei would definitely jump up and shout it out, "Sexy teacher," while the class would either look at them in disgust or outright ignore them. This did not happen, however, as both Matsuda and Motohama are both out of action, while Issei realized a very, very scary thing when the sexy teacher walked in and flashed him an almost unnoticeable glance and a knowing smirk. That sexy teacher is his friend. That sexy teacher is his friend whom he meets almost every day for the past year. That sexy teacher is his extremely lazy and ramen-addicted friend whom he knows does not have any cross-dressing hobbies. That sexy teacher was Naruto. So there Issei sits, elbows propped on the table with his face leaning forward while being held back by his clasped hands. He twists his face with absolute concentration as he tries to make sense of the situation. Why is Uzumaki Naruto, a guy dressed as a hot teacher and in his class? Where is Toshio-sensei? Worse off, why the hell is he feeling a thing for Naruto? Naruto walks up to the teacher's desk and puts a stack of papers on it before picking up a piece of chalk. He starts writing on the blackboard. No, that's probably not Naruto. She looks a lot like Naruto, but that's it. Naruto doesn't exude that kind of mature and teacher-like aura. He exudes lethargy. That teacher person is probably a substitute for Toshio-sensei. Toshio-sensei did say his wife is pregnant. He's probably off because of that. Yeah, this teacher is probably the substitute for Toshio-sensei. Wasn't there a legend that says everyone got someone else who looked like them in this world? What was that called? A doubleganger? Double gang? No, wait, it was doppelganger. Yeah. That lady is probably Naruto's doppelganger. Lucky bastard. To have such a hot doppelganger. Oh? She's saying something, better start listening. Hello, class. Your teacher, Toshio-sensei, received an urgent call this afternoon informing him that his wife is in the emergency maternity ward. He rushed off after informing the principal, but since there were no readily available substitutes, I, who happened to have passed by, was asked to fill in. You may call me Naruto-sensei. Treat me well for today, no? The blonde gave a cutesy smile, tilting her head in sparkles. Issei's head slammed into his table. It started raining outside as Naruto-sensei began the lessons that Toshio-sensei prepared before he left. Issei spent the class period staring out at the raining sky, devolving his minds of his surrounding and the strange situation. Matsuda and Motohama didn't wake up until class ended, closely missing Naruto-sensei's leave. It was pouring loudly outside. By the time school had ended, The weather took a turn for the worse and poured everything it had onto the ground. From what Issei can see, it was flooding a little too. The students with umbrellas banded together and ran towards their house as quickly as they could before it could flood more. Matsuda and Motohama disappeared after class ended, and Issei discovered that his umbrella was mysteriously missing. He takes one more look at the weather and sighs to himself. Some friends those bastards are. No kidding, I saw them running out of school using your umbrella. Issei didn't need to turn around to know who was walking up on him. After all, the owner of that same tone was the topic of his thoughts for most of today's school period. It also helps that there were students loudly waving their goodbyes to the fake teacher and yelling her name. Don't you have a ramen shop to run? Issei squats down and takes a sit on the stairs step after figuring he might as well wait out the rain rather than getting wet. Matsuri can take care of herself. Naruto takes a seat next to Issei. What are you even doing here in that? Issei gives Naruto a sidelong glance to see that the blonde was even faking the way he sits so that he gives off a feminine vibe. I came to give the school report that Matsuri borrowed earlier back. I thought you might have liked it if I was a hot chick. Naruto smirks at Issei as he catches the brunette's sidelong glance. Now that Issei looks up close, he has to admit that Naruto is doing an amazing job of cross-dressing. Honestly, Naruto's body actually looks natural in what he's wearing. Normal cross-dressers go for the conservative but overall cutely dressed style, kinda like Matsuri, but Naruto jumped right past that. From just what Issei could see and analyze of Naruto's body, he'd say that Naruto really was a chick. But he knew better. You look good, how'd you manage it? I didn't know you were such a charmer. Of course, I'd look good. I've been practicing this technique since I was 12 after all. Since the time you finished school? What did you want to be? A ninja. You have a strange preconception of ninjas if cross-dressing is part of your job description. Maybe it's the world that has the strange preconception of what ninjas are. Issei decides that he wasn't feeling like immersing himself in Naruto's strangeness, so he lets the conversation hang off. They both stare at the rain in silence for a minute. Naruto begins turning his head to look around. It's not like there's anything to see, just lockers and stragglers who didn't bring their umbrellas. So you want to show this beautiful teacher around? If you look to your back, you'd see our school's proud shoe locker area. It is separated by names and years. First year is towards the right and third year is towards the left. Since it's raining, we'll end our tour here, thank you and please come again. What a wonderful culture this school has. Issei ignores Naruto's deadpan and kept looking at the rain. Usually, at this time, they'd both be at the ramen shop with Dirt and Matsuri. Naruto would be playing some old dating sim that Issei brought a few weeks ago and Dirt would be sitting right next to him, giving bad advice and sipping coffee. Issei would probably be chowing down on a bowl of ramen while looking at his homework. Matsuri would be sweeping the shop, wiping the tables, or helping Issei, maybe occasionally bringing Naruto a cup of tea. That kind of lazy atmosphere is now so embedded into Issei that he honestly couldn't bring any energy towards the strangely dressed Naruto at this time frame. Naruto's probably feeling the same as they sat in silence. So how'd it feel being back in school again? Issei talks aloud this time to bring up a mundane conversation. As boring as it was the first time around. It's different from the place I went to but the atmosphere's around the same. School doesn't change? Issei perks his head up. It doesn't. Naruto nods his head down. I see. Yup. The rain continued to pour. Some time passed before either of the two moves again. Naruto stands up and pats the dust off of his skirt before turning towards Issei and saying, Well, this has been fun and all, but we should head to the shop. Eh? Naruto proceeds to pull out the folded umbrella from his skirt pocket and click it open. As strange as it is that the thing somehow came from a form-fitting pencil skirt, he found it even stranger that the umbrella is big enough to fit two people. The blonde walks down the steps and stops just before entering the rain. He once more turns around to look up at Issei and asks, You are coming? Issei didn't say anything as he walks under the umbrella Naruto held. Honestly, he's got nothing to respond to the blonde's strangeness. All he could say was that it was Naruto being Naruto. There was really no point in Issei trying to figure out his friend's strange train of thought. As they pass the school gates, Issei sees Matsuda and Motohama returning with their own umbrella while Motohama holds Issei's stolen umbrella in his other hand. If he had to venture guessing, he'd probably bet that the two felt bad for ditching Issei and returned to help him out. The two seemed to notice Issei as well under the umbrella of Naruto, who's smiling extra cutely while making small talk with Issei. They pass each other without acknowledging the other's existence. Issei because he doesn't actually have a response, and Matsuda and Motohama because they're too shocked that Issei is sharing an umbrella with the rumored sexy teacher. Once they were far enough, Naruto returns to being the lazy man that he is, and Issei catches on. That was a horrible prank. Your friends were lousier than I anticipated. They took way longer than I thought to return. You owe me a free medium pork ramen. Take that up with Matsuri. Now hurry up. I want to finish that other route I started on yesterday. The two quickly walked to the ramen shop in silence, with the rain accompanying them. Did the ball while twisting every joint in his body to aim as much force as the human body can produce towards one direction, Naruto transfers the stored energy towards his arms, then his wrist, then his hands, and then, finally, his fingers. The force of all the bones in a human's body was saved into one object, and then thrown at breakneck speed combined with perfect timing and execution. This was one of Naruto's special baseball throwing technique date ball-yo, the white and red flash. Whoosh! It was perfectly executed. Naruto grins at himself as he watches the ball seemingly disappear from his hands, make a swishing sound, then impacted Issei, who was the catcher, and threw the boy a good meter backward. The kid didn't even know what had hit him. Even Dirt, who was the batter, widened his eyes in surprise by the ball's speed. Standing up straight while cracking his neck to add effects, he held out another baseball towards Dirt's and Issei's direction. He smirked at the pair of surprised faces, well, mostly Dirt's surprised face. Issei still eating dirt from the last 8 ball-yo, and coolly says, "Ready to lose, dear customers?" Dirt collects himself and squints his eye at Naruto. He returns Naruto's smirk with his own predatory grin while stating, "Bring it, crappy chef." Issei, who's still down, groaned in agony as he felt his left hand twist at an odd angle. Earlier. Okay, add the powder just as it turns to 384 degrees and begins quickly stirring afterward. Throw in the sensing sung and let it boil for approximately 0.2 milliseconds and add the deep-fried boiled Hellion lizard nude. Naruto mumbles to himself as he slaves over his witch's cauldron. He has locked himself into the shop's kitchen for more than 8 hours now and has forbidden anyone, including Matsuri, from coming in. Soon I will defeat Matsuri and reclaim my rightful place. Kukukukuku, he chuckles to himself as he added more ingredients to his concoction. Matsuri felt another prickle of worry as she hears the latest bouts of giggles coming from her master. The silver-haired girl paces back and forth in front of the kitchen door as she intently tries to pick up any noise that implies that her master is in trouble. If she senses even the slightest hint of trouble, she intends to charge in and savage the blonde immediately. So far, the only thing she has heard was the sound of a crackling fire and an occasional burst of maniacal laughter coming from her charge. Matsuri, just calm down. You don't have to worry about him, he's just doing his usual thing. Issei looks up from the newest dating sim he bought and was now playing. But that's exactly the problem, Issei-kun. Naruto-san is too active in doing his usual thing. Dirt sips his coffee while reading his newspaper. According to Matsuri-san, he's been cooped up in that kitchen for 8 hours straight. 8 hours? That's the longest I've ever seen him concentrate on anything ever. Turns his dumbfounded gaze back towards the still pacing Matsuri. Hey Matsuri, what the heck is he working on in there? I honestly don't know, Issei-kun. Whatever it is, I'm worried. I have never seen Naruto-sama being so youthful before. Matsuri stops her stride to answer Issei before taking up the motion once again. If Naruto doesn't come out soon, there'll be a new ditch in front of the kitchen. Issei and Dirt nodded their heads in mutual consent to Matsuri's analysis of the blonde ramen chef. He was a lazy idiot. That was literally the best way to describe him. Suddenly showing a will and concentrating on something important just isn't Naruto. Suddenly, Matsuri takes a step back and appears beside Issei's and Dirt's table. The kitchen door slammed open and malicious howls and groans started resounding throughout the ramen shop. A red fog slowly oozes itself out of the kitchen and surrounded Issei and the crew. Issei puts down his game controller and instinctively readies himself to take flight towards the front entrance. Dirt puts down his newspaper and takes a sip of his coffee, eyes squinted in all intent to glare down whatever will come. Matsuri is doing nothing. She stares confusedly at the kitchen entrance and asked, Naruto-sama, did you mess up the shrimp fish spices with the red fog powder mix? The slow-moving fog stilled and then retreated like it knew it was beaten at its own game. The moans and groans that were resounding through the wall stopped as well after a mechanical click sound was made. Naruto walked out of the kitchen with 2 menus in hand and made headway towards the table where Issei and Dirt were sitting at. Naruto had a refreshing atmosphere around him and slightly contagious smile on his face. The air around him sparkles disarmingly like it was trying to lure everyone into relaxing. Issei and Dirt didn't lower their guard. Naruto stopped at the table, his smile becoming 50% more refreshing and innocent. Issei made to bolt out of his chair, but Naruto snapped his fingers and suddenly a force was exerted on Issei's shoulder that coerced him to sit back down. He turned in his chair and saw that Matsuri was holding him down by the shoulder, while giving him her anything for Naruto-sama. Smile. Dirt, who already knew that he was cornered, intensified his untrusting glare, hoping against hope that it would at least kill the blonde's plan, whatever it is. So, my dear customer, would you like to try the newest special ramen of Uzumaki's Ramen? His smile intensified even more if that was possible, and the only thing that held Issei and Dirt back from listening to the blonde's deeply hypnotic words were their knowledge. The knowledge that screamed that is not Uzumaki Naruto. Retreat. I repeat, retreat. Managing to hold their own fronts in the face of what seems to be Naruto's serious mode for a full 2 minutes, Issei and Dirt broke down and looked at the open menu before them. The menu page was blanked with only one item fitted in the very center. In fancy golden embroidered lettering were the words Uzumaki Ramen, Kitsen Special. For some unexplained reasoning, Issei's and Dirt's spine tingled as the danger seemed to increase exponentially after reading it. Naruto leaned forward and clasped both their shoulders. Well? How about it, you two? The torrent of sparkles he unleashed upon them was physically painful. Issei could do nothing but tremble in fear while Dirt, bless that man's brave soul, said, "Ah, Naruto-san, I would love to, but unfortunately I'm not too hungry right now." Is that so? Well, that's fine. How about you, Issei? Damn you, Dirt, damn you for ditching Naruto onto me. I'm not hungry, was all Issei managed to squeak out in the face of serious Uzumaki Naruto. Is that so? Then why don't we play a game to boost your appetite? His charming smile turned into a malevolent smirk as he redirects the sparkles back at both his customers. How the heck did he learn sparkle bending? If you win, I'll treat you to Matsuri's special ramen for lunch. If I win, you guys have to try out the special ramen that I made. Do you want to play? Oh God, my eyes. The sparkles. It's trying to kill us. I can't breathe. Vision getting darker. Goodbye, cruel world. Sign hi to Issei. You put us in a rough spot, Naruto-san. How about this? If we win any random games with 2 out of 3 times ratio, we get free ramen cooked by Matsuri-san for a week. However, if you win, we'll agree to be your lab rats. Dirt sees Issei's soul attempting to leave its body and made to negotiate some better conditions. Naruto's grin lessened greatly in destructibility, and he pulled back his aura sparkles. He nods to Dirt's attempt at compromising and snaps his fingers at Matsuri, who somehow found a way to grab onto Issei's departing soul and push it back into the boy's body. Once the girl was sure that the boy was still in the land of the living, she reached under the table and pulled out a drawing box. In this box is 50 random games and sports ranging from rock paper scissors to ferret legging. Seeing as I'm the challenger, I will let you and Issei take turns drawing from the drawing box. Each game and sport has been modified by Matsuri to the best of her ability to fit doubles team matches. Since Issei is still resurrecting from the clutches of death, why don't you take the first draw, Dirt? Naruto explains while keeping that refreshing yet extremely creepy smile of his. Seems like you planned this thoroughly, Naruto-san. Slightly grimaces as he puts his hands into the box. He pulled out a piece of paper that read baseball. Uzumaki baseball. Asterisk. The group is split into 2 teams. One team will be the batter and ball catcher while the other will be the pitcher and the outfielder. Each team will change positions every time a score is made. Asterisk. The pitcher will pitch the ball and the batter is to hit the ball. If the batter misses 3 pitch, then it's a point for the pitcher's team. If the batter hits and the outfielder does not manage to catch the ball before it hits the ground, it's the batter's point. Asterisk. The conditions for the ball being valid after getting hit by the batter is that it must 1. Be strike within a 45-degree angle field from the batter. 2. The ball must make it past the pitcher's circumference, approximately 60 feet. Asterisk. Possible points accordance to the batter is 1. If the ball does manage to be sent back at the pitcher and knocks the pitcher off his mound. Asterisk. The first team to make it to 10 points is the victor. Asterisk. Uzumaki baseball is a fan-made parody of regular baseball. If it pisses anyone off, sue Uzumaki Naruto, he was the Uzumaki in Uzumaki baseball. 3-2 Naruto/Matsuri leads. Yeah, Matsuri. Knock the hell out of Issei's wimpy balls. Make him regret standing in front of you. Yes, Naruto-sama. I'll hit Issei-san's balls with all my might. As Matsuri takes up the batter position, Naruto yells out profane encouragements. Don't make it sound so dirty, damn it. Issei stomps his feet on top of the pitcher's mound, both out of frustration and to get a proper footing. Concentrate, Issei-kun. We are up against an opponent who should not exist within this world, a serious Naruto. He will do anything to make us lose so that he can have his way with our body. Standing a distance away, with a catcher's mitt in hand, Dirt warns Issei of Naruto's trap. Now you're doing it. Ugh, whatever. Take this. Hayate spin ball. Issei stomps his feet on the ground again and gets into position. He yells aloud and throws the baseball in his hand at a fast pace towards Matsuri. Seeing the move, Matsuri widens her eyes. But that's a fastball, Issei-kun. Without a moment of hesitation, she strikes the ball in a textbook perfect home run. Kukukuku, your dirty tricks won't fool my precious Matsuri-chan. Kukukuku. Naruto stands up from his position in the catcher's spot and wraps his hands creepily around Matsuri's shoulders. He makes the motion to lick Majuri's cheek. Naruto-sama? Seriously. What's wrong with you today? Give back the old Naruto. Once again, Issei stomps the ground from the numerous emotions he's feeling. Toe! Meanwhile, Dirt runs energetically towards the end of the ball's parabola and dramatically jumps. His posture would have made even pro baseball players jealous. Catching the ball and effectively killing his running jump's momentum with a few rolls, he stands up from a cloud of dust. He nods proudly to himself and looks back at the bickering fools who are ignoring him. After a moment of decision-making, he chucks the baseball at the nearest fool, Issei. 5-4 Issei/Dirt leads. Che. It looks like Dirt has gotten used to my date ball yo. The white and red flash. I must use the next of my super baseball throw series. Matsuri towards the left. Yes, Naruto-sama. Seeing another of his balls get hit by the middle-aged man, Naruto clicks his tongue and decides to change strategy. He tells Matsuri where to go to optimize their chances while he takes up a strange stance with his throwing arm pointing completely outwards. Ho? It looks like you were hiding something. Naruto-kun still has a hidden ace left? I wonder what it is. This is starting to become fun. No, it isn't. Have you ever caught one of his balls? It hurts, damn it. Standing at the batter's spot and the catcher's spot respectively, Dirt and Issei bicker with each other. Take this. Date ball yo, Raisin Gan. Taking Issei's exclamation as a signal, Naruto twists his body and throws out the second movement of his super baseball throw series. Is this some sort of trickery? Such a slow spin ball shall not surpass me. Dirt squints his eyes at the slowly approaching ball and sneers blatantly. The path is already easy to be seen from how slow the ball was going. In comparison, the first move, a fastball, was more dangerous. He roars mightily and swings his bat to strike the ball with all his strength into the right side of Naruto. From the pitcher's mound, Naruto grins and whispers chillingly to himself. Boom. Dirt's eyes widen in alarm as the baseball bat in his hand starts bending at an odd angle while he strikes it against the ball. He tries holding it still and pushing it back against the ball's pressurized spinning motion, but the bat couldn't take it. After a moment of struggle, the bat gives in and explodes. The ball flies off towards where Matsuri had settled herself, due to Naruto's earlier recommendation. Tossing away his destroyed bat, Dirt glares down at Naruto. In return, the blonde smirks that wide vulpine grin at Dirt. Garg. It's in my eyes. There are splinters in my eyes. Meanwhile, Issei rolls around on the ground in pain. 9-9 tied game, Dirt batting, last strike. You've been a great thorn in my way, Dirt, but this is it. Even if you have figured out a counter to my date ball yo, the white and red flash and date ball yo, Raisin Gan, I still have one more hidden trump card. My original date ball yo technique. Naruto declares this aloud as he puts his hands into a cross T symbol with the ball at the center. A worthy challenge. I accept. Come at me with your full strength, Uzumaki Naruto. Dirt aims his bat at Naruto before getting into a batter's stance. There's more. What kind of ramen chef are you? Go join the freaking baseball league. Issei yells loudly to the blonde pitcher. Ignoring the brunette teen's cries, Naruto takes a deep breath and then throws his baseball. Toe. Dirt narrows his eyes to analyze the ball. Speed, extremely fast spin, none tricks, none. What is Naruto-kun planning? Seeing nothing special about the ball, he swings his bat in timing with the predicted projectile of the ball thrown. As his bat was about to hit the ball, Naruto yells out the name of his third technique. Date ball yo, Kagebushin no baseball. Dirt widens his eyes in surprise as he catches the shadow of 9 other balls following the path behind the first ball. Because the swing was already made, he manages to hit the first ball but completely misses the other 9, which resulted in Issei getting swamped by baseballs going at breakneck speed. The man lowers his bat and pushes up his eyeglass so that it catches the sun's ray and covers his eyes. His mouth is twisted into a begrudging smile. I see. The rules never said the pitcher can only pitch 1 ball, just that the batter has to hit the pitcher's pitches. Well played, Naruto-san. Good game, Dirt. You were a great challenge. Naruto walks over to the man and reaches out his hand for a handshake. URG. Let's get you patched up, Issei-kun. Matsuri walks over to Issei's prone body and begins to patch him up with a roll of bandage and some cooling cream while Dirt and Naruto did their manly bonding thing in the background. Erg. Matsuri's such a bro, dammit. Paper, rock, scissor. Asterisk, honestly, if you don't know this, you should be learning what it is instead of reading this. Asterisk, also, search up the ultimate rock, paper, scissors chart. Now multiply that by 40. Paper, rock, scissors, shoot. The group flashed their chosen hand forward. Naruto used the pure white sun. Matsuri had the cybernetic robot woman. Issei flashed the devil to be. Dirt got the nuke in disguise. So, who won? Issei asked out loud. Honestly, he was glad that they were playing something normal after his many experiences with death in the previous game. The problem is he has no idea what he's playing. According to this chart, Naruto studies a strange rock-paper-scissors chart he got online. He turned it a few times as if trying to make sense of it before declaring. Issei won, I think. Wait, I thought it kind of looks like Issei-kun won, maybe sort of? Dirt takes a look at the chart as well and flipped it a few times. He ended up agreeing with Naruto. Oh, cool. I won. Matsuri, what's the next game? Issei asked the girl who was sadly looking at her cybernetic robot woman sign. He must have startled her because she quickly hid her cybernetic robot woman behind her back and gave Issei a startled look before she processed his question. Since you picked from the drawing box the last time, Dirt-san needs to pick the next challenge. Currently, the match is tied at 1-1. Whoever wins the next game will be the overall winner. Okay then, Lady Luck, please give this old man a good chance. Dirt prays aloud as he sticks his hand into the box and pulls out a piece of paper that reads, First-person shooter. Uzumaki first-person shooter. Asterisk, like any other first-person shooter game. Asterisk, try playing Call of Duty or something. I just noticed something. Naruto pipes in after Matsuri finishes explaining the rules of the game. What is it? Issei asks. We don't have any first-person shooter game actually. We don't have any action-specific games either. The closest one we have is School Love Fest. And Issei bought that on a whim. Matsuri jolted a little in the background but only Naruto noticed. He patted her on the shoulder and gave a sidelong glance. She seemed to have understood the gesture as she returned it with a nod. You're right. I guess I really only bring dating sim games here, huh? Issei strokes his imaginary mustache as he looks in a far-off distance, the furthermost wall. So, what do we do now? Dirt asks as he looked at the remains of the drawing box Naruto happily threw into the stove so that the loser won't call for a rematch. Should we go outside again and buy a shooter game? Issei asks while looking at Naruto who was beginning to slouch on a chair. I don't want to. We just got back, I don't want to go outside again. Yup, regular Naruto is back. Well, it is getting late. I think I should go prepare dinner now. Matsuri looks at the clock on the wall and saw that it was reaching 5 in the evening. She gets up from her chair and walks towards the kitchen. She paused at the kitchen entrance to turn back and asked Dirt-san, Issei-kun, would you like to join us for dinner? Gurgly, before either Dirt or Issei could answer, Issei's stomach declared its emptiness and made Issei blushed. He demurely nods his head at the silverette's suggestion. He took a seat with Naruto at the table, while the blonde reached to turn on the game system in front of him. Maybe playing baseball took more out of me than I thought. As long as it's not ramen, I'm fine with staying. Dirt sits at the table as well and sips his coffee. Matsuri nodded and said to Dirt, I'm thinking of preparing a hot pot. Would that work, Dirt-san? Issei-kun? Yes, please/sure, was the reply she got. She smiled and walked into the kitchen to prepare the ingredients for the pot. Some time passed by silently as the group lazy about. Issei lounged in his chair as he droopingly watches Naruto finish a tsundere route. The blonde was lousy at it. Dirt sat opposite of Issei and gave his additionally shoddy advice for how to handle the tsundere. Naruto had his full attention on the screen and Kurama, unknown to others except for Naruto, complains about the stupidly bizarre behavior of the female genotype. The sound of sizzling food and bowls being moved echoed mutely throughout the room. So what was the new special you were forcing on us anyway? Issei tried to break the comfortable silence with the question that's been nagging on his mind. It's a new recipe a friend of mine gave me. Its constitution is a little strange, but it tastes pretty good. The blonde answers without taking his attention off of the game. It took you 8 hours to make it? Dirt asks while sipping his coffee. He raised an eyebrow at the ridiculousness of the idea. I wanted it to be perfect for you guys. Naruto pouted? Or are you actually pouting? Issei asks his strange friend. Humph, of course not. It's not like I wanted you guys to enjoy something I cooked or anything dumb like that. Yup, Naruto is definitely pouting. Naruto-san, at least use a line from the game script that fits your character. Dirt sips his coffee methodically. Seriously? You couldn't have just asked us to try it? Issei puts his head on his left hand and leans onto it. I did ask. The blonde simply replied. Bullshit. I nearly crossed the Sanzu River when you asked that. Issei yelled as he remembered one of his earlier near-death experience. I have to agree with Issei-kun, you looked more like you were hiding a thinly veiled threat. No, not a threat, you killed Issei-kun anyways. Dirt backs Issei up. Naruto paused his game and looked at the pair in earnest confusion. I was trying to show my innocence and sincerity. Didn't they say the best way to show it is with a sincere smile? Naruto-san, you really didn't plan this script out too, well did you? You had a box full of games ready, and you seemed very eager to lead us towards that path. Though this half-baked dialogue may fool Issei, I am much more competent at seeing through your lies. Dirt boasted as he sits straight up. He seemed confident that nothing could fool him. Guess his jobs must make him very adept in spotting bull crap and neutralizing it. What's that supposed to mean? Issei complains, but really, he wonderfully fell for Naruto's acting. Che. Found out already. Naruto dropped the look of innocent confusion and went back to droopy lazy look he prefers. So, it was a trick after all. Issei sighs to himself as he gave the blonde a half-hearted glare before slumping back to the cool wood of the table. The silence returned and persisted. Dirt went and helped Matsuri prepare the dishes and utensils for dinner. Issei continued to slouch about, though not out of the usual laziness but out of the sheer exhaustion that's finally caught up with him from earlier. He honestly must hold Naruto and Dirt in a better opinion. The two don't show any sign of the fatigue Issei's feeling even though they were the most active players. Issei-kun, can you help me with turning on the portable stove? I'm bringing the hot pot out. Matsuri calls out from the kitchen. Issei complied and took a few attempts to turn on the aged burner. The pot that Matsuri carried out was massive. At 4 foot wide and 2 foot deep, the pot of broth was undeniably huge. Dirt came out from behind Matsuri carrying the dishes for the hot pot. Beef, pork, shrimp, fish, egg, noodles, assorted vegetables, and even some drinks. The middle-aged man carried the 6 extra-large dishes, the bowl of eggs and the 4 glasses of juice like a pro-waiter. In the corner of his vision, Issei saw Naruto turning off the game system and switching to a random game show channel. Once everything was set up and everybody settled in, they clapped their hands in unison and said itadakimasu. They then each started dipping what they wanted into the pot. Issei went straight for the fattest piece of beef he saw. Dirt got a ladle and started spooning broth into his bowl, which was filled with noodles. Naruto was boiling 2 eggs within the pot with one hand while using the other to eat the food that Matsuri cooked for him. Matsuri professionally picked out perfect portions of vegetables and meat to cook for both herself and for Naruto. The 4 continued to eat in relative silence, which was only broken by some small talk, a few old people joke from Dirt, and the sound of the television in the background. They finished eating, cleaned up the tables and washed the dishes by around 8 o'clock. Dirt was the first to leave the shop as he joked about not being as young as he was before. Issei left afterward when he remembers that he didn't finish his weekend homework. Matsuri went upstairs to prepare the futon for sleep. She, like Issei, couldn't exactly keep up with the energetic Naruto and Dirt, and tuckered herself with the ball game from that afternoon. Naruto sat at the table playing a game for another hour to both entertain and accompany Kurama before the fox enters hibernation again. According to the fox, the world was finally starting to accept them as an inhabitant. This gave Kurama a longer waking period as the energy it takes to maintain their existence lessens. This didn't make Naruto worry any less for his friend. He had first-hand experience with the energy output that the fox was capable of. To see Kurama struggle for so long hurts. Especially when Naruto cannot do anything about it. Therefore, the blonde did the next best thing. He entertained the fox in every one of its waking moment. It was all he could do to thank Kurama for helping him so much. If Kurama can now stay awake for a measly 9 hours out of a week, then Naruto was going to give him everything that's worth that 9 hours. The blonde ramen shop owner smiled to himself as he heard the fox drift back into hibernation after a fun day of sports, food, and gaming. He turned off his game system and walked upstairs to join Matsuri in sleep. Today was a fun day. Whoa! The shop looks extra busy today. What happened? Issei whistles out loud as he enters Naruto's ramen shop. He looks around for a seat and was pleasantly surprised to find that the usual table was clean and empty of customers. Ah, Issei-kun, welcome. Would you like me to bring you a medium pork ramen? Matsuri walks by with a serving tray and smiles at Issei. That would be good, Matsuri. By the way, why is it so packed today? It's because of Naruto-sama's newest special dish, the Uzumaki ramen, Kitsun special. The first customer who ordered it said. This smell. This taste. This texture. It's Yasaka-sama's special Kyubi ramen. At another table, a group of men yells this loudly, cutting off Matsuri mid-sentence. They each pour the contents of their bowls into their mouth as they cry tears of joy. Men! Take out your wallets, we must buy every last drop of this Amrita. Yes, sir. Miss Waitress. Refill, please. Yes, dear customer. Matsuri smiles brightly and responds spiritedly to the group of men who are holding up their bowls. She turns back to Issei a moment later with an apologetic smile on her face. As you can see, Issei-kun, they said something like that. I'll be back quickly with your pork ramen, so why don't you grab a seat? Take your time. Issei waves the girl off and watches her leave to tend to the customers. He walks over to the table and pulls out his homework. Quietly, he ponders to himself, so that new special ramen wasn't a joke, huh? Much later. Thank you for your patronage. Standing at the shop's doorway with her waist bent, Matsuri greets off the last customer in the shop. Phew, finally done. This was a surprisingly hectic day. Good work, Matsuri. Naruto walks out of the kitchen while rolling around his shoulder to relax its muscle. He calls out to Matsuri as she closes the shop's door. Your new ramen is surprisingly popular, Issei says this while he closes his notebook and puts it into his backpack. Jealous that you didn't get any? Naruto smirks at Issei cockily. If you get down on your hands and knees and beg to be my lab rat for the rest of your life, I'll give you some. Tempting, but a harem king bows down to no one. Dirt is on a more successful path to being a harem king than you are, cause, you know, he's rich as hell. Coo. Issei falls out of his seat and crouches down on his knees in pain. Cheap words will not bring me down. No, I mean, aren't you already down? Naruto gives the brunette teen a condescending look. Naruto-sama? What are these bowls of ramen doing here? Matsuri pokes her head out of the kitchen entrance to give Naruto a questioning look and show off a bowl of ramen in her hands. Oh, I saved those for us. Bring them out, Matsuri, let's eat. Naruto looks back at Issei as he says this. Oh, Issei, take a seat already. I took the effort to save a bowl of special ramen for you. Eh? Ah, okay. Issei sits back into his chair with a lukewarm reply. Here you go, Naruto-sama, Issei-kun. Thanks, Matsuri. Matsuri walks out of the kitchen with a serving plate filled with ramen bowls. She puts a bowl of ramen in front of each member at the table. Slurp, the sound of ramen being eaten echoed through the empty walls of the once crowded shop. Naruto, as always, breathed in the ramen like it was air and finished in 10 seconds flat. Matsuri, who usually took her time, seemed to particularly enjoy the ramen Naruto made and finished before Issei. Issei finished his ramen at the regular time. Hey Naruto, this is the newest special you made? Yeah, why? It tastes the same as any other ramen you cook. I thought it tasted awesome. Then again, all ramen is awesome. Oh right, you have a ramen fetish. I forgot. After finishing his bowl and giving it a final verdict, Issei tells Naruto his honest truth. Receiving the blonde's reply, he couldn't do anything but give Naruto a straight-face look before turning to Matsuri. Hey Matsuri, what did you think of Naruto's ramen? I like the ramen very much. The smell is subtle but very pleasing to the nose. Then really whetted my appetite and lured me in to take another bite. The texture of the noodle was springy and chewy but at the same time quite soft and made easy to slurp down. The taste was a bit diverse but the end worked well in not overpowering the taste of the. Personally, I think that Naruto-sama's special ramen is on another league compared to my measly imitation. The silver-haired girl replies professionally without a tint of hesitation in her face. Naruto preens at the comment, while Issei looks at the girl incredulously. How did you get all that out of Naruto's plain ramen? As if doubting himself, he takes another sip of his leftover broth and raises an eyebrow in a questioning manner. Naruto looks at Issei and Matsuri with an investigative expression before clapping his fist on top of his palm like he just figured out something. Issei. Yeah, Naruto? You didn't finish your homework, did you? I did most of it already. I just have a bit more before I'm done. I'll do it at home or something. Do it here. I'll check it when you're done. Naruto stares Issei down with a dangerous glint to his eyes. In response, Issei pulls out his homework again and begins working on it. While you do that, Matsuri, let me help you with the dishes. Naruto stands up and carries the emptied ramen bowls to the kitchen. Thank you, Naruto-sama. Matsuri gets up and follows after the blonde to the kitchen. This is because I called his ramen plain, isn't it? After the two leaves, Issei looks up from his homework and stares at the kitchen. He says this before he goes back to his homework. Inside the kitchen. Did you give Issei the plain ramen, Naruto-sama? Matsuri asks Naruto this as she passes a rinse dish for Naruto to dry. No, all 3 bowls were the special ramen that Kyubi no Yasaka sent through the letter. But Issei said it tastes like your regular ramen while I tasted something so incredible, it felt beyond my comprehension. That's probably because the special ramen is a yukai dish. A yukai dish? But there were customers who... Those are probably the people the Yukai Association sent to check up on us. So they were yukai. I did not notice it at all. You're still relatively young for a yukai. Don't worry too much about it. Yes, Naruto-sama. Hearing this, Matsuri nods her head and continues to clean the dishes. Outside the kitchen. Issei, what are you doing? After he and Matsuri finish cleaning the dishes, Naruto returns to the restaurant proper and immediately lock on to Issei as the brunette organizes his homework on the table to make the ink resemble the shape of a naked woman. I'm creating a ritual to summon the Ape gods and ask them to grant me knowledge. Glaring at the pages in his hands as if they were puzzle pieces, Issei answers Naruto's question without breaking his concentration. Carry on then. Naruto gives a mystified nod and walks to the table to turn on the game system. He keeps Issei in his peripheral in case the brunette breaks more than he already is. Call me if you need any help, Issei-kun. Matsuri smiles and takes up a broom to begin sweeping the shop clean. Thanks bro, Issei grunts to Matsuri and carefully lays down the next piece of homework into his ritual circle. A week afterward, a certain red-haired high schooler received a letter from her equally red-haired brother cautioning her of the new Yukai faction in Tokyo. The new faction already claimed a small shopping area near Ko Academy as their territory, and they seem to have made their headquarters near a small ramen shop in the center of the area, where they are spotted to often have seemingly unorganized grouped meetings at. The redhead girl was warned to be extremely cautious whenever they are near the shopping district. Ring ding. Yo, I'm here. Issei walks into Naruto's ramen shop with a slouch. Matsuri waved at him with a smile as she finished writing down a customer's order. Naruto poked his head out of the kitchen to give Issei a quick sup, before ducking in again to fill out Matsuri's newest order. Seeing as they were busy, Issei stalked to the usual table to find that Dirt, who has been missing from the shop for a week, was there sipping his drink. Issei was mildly curious to see that the middle-aged man was wearing a collared Hawaiian t-shirt and a pair of shorts instead of his usual worn-out business suit. Yo, Dirt. Where have you been? Issei asks as he sat down on his usual seat, opposite of Dirt. He began pulling out some worksheets to review. Ah, Issei-kun, you're here. Here I brought a souvenir for you. Dirt hands Issei a gift bag with some foreign lettering that Issei couldn't understand. A souvenir? Were you on a business trip or something? Issei gratefully accepts the bag with a thank you. No, it was the opposite actually. Some of my coworkers said that I was overworking myself and suggested that I needed to take a relaxing trip. Luckily enough, another coworker had spare tickets to visiting Spain, and I somehow or another ended up tagging along. It was a fun trip. Dirt reminiscent as Issei gives him a stony face that expressed you? Work? What work? Hoped you had fun. Now then, let's see what you got me. Pushing off Dirt's obvious taunt for its Tsukomi, Issei opens the gift bag to find 4 magazines. Confused, he pulled them out and widens his eyes comically. I Dirt UW what Issei stutters as he stares at the magazines in absolute awe and wonder. He gently puts the stack of magazines back in the gift bag and looks at Dirt. He gave Dirt a stare that lasted for 5 seconds before cracking into a mad grin and jumps at the middle-aged man. DRT. You're such a bro. was what he yelled aloud before he glomped the coffee-sipping old man. Yup, you guessed it, Dirt bought Issei's Spaniard porn. Oh? So, you've decided to give up on his ridiculous harem plan and aim for the safer path of the rich unmarried gentleman, huh? Good for you, Issei. Naruto walks out of the kitchen just in time to see Issei tackle the coffee addict. Issei tearfully lets go of Dirt to grab the gift bag laying on the floor and showed it to Naruto, completely foregoing to comment on the blonde's insult due to sheer happiness. Naruto! Check out what Dirt gave me! What is this Spanish? Naruto looks into the bag and pulls out one of the magazines. He realized it was porn on first sight but didn't realize the language until he stared at it for a bit. He looked over to Dirt with a crooked smile and says, "Did you go all the way to Europe just to buy something to woo Issei with? You know he'll roll over and bark for normal Japanese porn, right?" Ha ha ha, strange as always, Naruto-san. Here, I bought you and Matsuri a gift as well. Dirt laughs off Naruto's insinuation and hands the ramen pair their souvenir. You are just tempting me, aren't you? Not gonna fall for it. Now let's see what I got. Naruto glared at Dirt for a good 2 seconds before taking the gift and ripping the wrappings to shreds. Naruto lifted up the object that was once covered in wrapping, beheld it to his eye level and then chucked it at Dirt. This is just more porn, damn it. Dirt seemed to take great amusement in Naruto's expression as he chuckles at the flying magazines being thrown. Matsuri's tight expression seemed to agree with Naruto's mad accusations, but unlike the blonde, she politely sets her porn back onto the table. Issei gave her a puppy dog look that she understood immediately, and gave her approval. The brunette teen beamed with happiness, so much so that even Matsuri's sweat dropped a little. Naruto glanced at Issei's happy expression and scowled. Why are you so happy? Don't you have your midterms coming up soon? Seeing the boy's devastated face almost made Naruto's day, almost. It would have made his day if Issei didn't look like he remembered something horrible. That devastated expression only told the blonde one thing. Issei forgot about his midterm exams. The blonde sighed to himself and looked at Issei in exasperation. Relax, we still have time to cram. When are the test dates? Naruto prodded the boy on the ground. Issei looked at Naruto with dead eyes of resignation. It was the eyes of a soldier going into a war on the losing side. The eyes of a defeatist. He moved his lips and muttered, "Tomorrow." Matsuri stared at Issei in disbelief. Naruto slammed his head onto the table and Dirt chocked on his coffee. Together they yelled, "How could you forget such a thing until the last minute?" Issei responded with a dry, cracked chuckle and a far-off look. Naruto scratched the back of his head and sighed before walking towards the madly chuckling brunette. He grabbed the teen by his collar and dragged him to the second floor of the ramen shop to study. Matsuri, close up. Dirt, get a big crate of some strong black coffee. We got approximately a 12-hour all-nighter to cram months' worth of knowledge into this fool. Upstairs. 12 hours remaining until school opens. According to Issei-kun's report card, his weakest subject is English and social studies. He is proficient in math and science, aka failing slightly less than usual, and is in the middle ground with Japanese. Matsuri reads off of the newest report card she got from Issei's school. According to the potential tests that I got glimpses of when hacking the school database, it is safe to say that we should spend the most time focusing Issei-kun's studies on English, Japanese and science, as they are the hardest ones. Issei started when he heard Matsuri said something strange. Wait, did you just say yuha? Since my job involves me making many connections, I am quite capable in the English and social studies department. I take up on being Issei's tutor for those subjects. Dirt cuts in before Issei could somehow distract himself. I am quite adept in the math and science area myself, so I will help Issei-kun with that. Matsuri gives her 2 cents after Dirt gave his. In that case, I will take Japanese on for myself. We'll each split our subjects into 2 5-hour margins and 1 2 hours. I will take the 2 hours margin. Matsuri, please give us the potential questions as well as the most probable answers. Dirt, you will go first. Naruto gives out quick and precise orders to his 2 accompanying teachers. Issei could do nothing except for sitting in the background making a nervous face at the Spartan course he's being targeted with. Oh, and Issei Naruto finally turns his gaze back at the boy on his knees. If you so much as dare to slack off for even a minute, he pulls out the stack of 12 magazines that Dirt graciously got for Issei. Will never reach your eyes again. Naruto kawarimi'd the magazines with the air inside of his closet for dramatic effects. It had its intended results as Issei's face grew ashen white. Dirt sat down next to Issei and sympathetically pat the boy on his shoulder before saying, "Let's begin, Issei-kun." The teen could only nod and looked at the worksheet Matsuri prepared for him. 10 hours 45 minutes remaining until school opens. Dirt flips a page in his hand. Issei swallows his saliva noisily in anticipation. Naruto silently plays a portable GS game. Matsuri prepares the study material for both herself and Naruto. After a small eternity for Issei, Dirt puts down the worksheets. Issei-kun. Yeah? You pass. Yes. Ape-sama has not forsaken me. With the minimum required score for a normal student. However, with your current grades in the report card, I'm afraid you're going to need to make a much better grade on the test. Nu, Ape-sama, why have you forsaken me? With a bored look, Naruto peeks up from his GS and says, "That's one magazine, Issei." Issei jumps back up and snatches his worksheet from Dirt's hand. The moment it touches the table, he starts stabbing away at it with his pencil. 8 hours 5 minutes remaining until school opens. Urg Issei slumps down onto the table and drools with his mouth agape. His eyes lost their usual gleam and he begins loudly snoring. Is he asleep? Naruto, on hearing the snoring, looks at Dirt, who's grading a big stack of paper that Issei somehow managed to write. He's finished with all his work, so I'll allow him some rest. Dirt flips to another page with the number 32 printed on its top left. Really, that boy finished all 50 worksheets in around an hour. He flips to page 33 and spins his unused red pen. And most of it is correct as well. So he can do it after all. Matsuri, wake him up when it's your time to teach. Naruto gives the brunette a glance before he returns to his GS game. Yes, Naruto-sama. Without looking up, Matsuri organizes the worksheet that she and Naruto will teach Issei, all while calculating how much time she can afford for Issei to have a bit more rest. 7 hours 10 minutes remaining until school opens. Ah? Issei opens his sleepy eyes and sees Matsuri looking down at him. He realizes that he's sleeping on Matsuri's lap and he chuckles. Matsuri, I had such a strange nightmare. Matsuri tilts her head at the slightly hysterical Issei, which prompted him to continue. Naruto was threatening me to study for 12 hours straight, or he'll take away all my porn. How crazy is that, huh? Issei starts chuckling deliriously at the strange idea. That's still happening, Issei. In fact, it's about to be Matsuri's turn to teach you soon. Naruto peeks over Matsuri's shoulder and shows Issei an alarm clock. Eh? Bolts up from Matsuri's soft, comfy and manly lap to exhaustively look at Naruto, who still has his game in his other hand, and then at Dirt, who's sipping his coffee. Issei gives Dirt a distressed look and the middle-aged man returns it with a smile and mouthed, "It's still good. Your magazines are still safe." The brunette visibly slumps down to knees in relief. "It's good that you're awake now, Issei-kun. Should we start?" "Yeah." Issei nods tiredly and sits next to Matsuri at the table. 5 hours 30 minutes remaining until school opens. "And you do this and carry the variable x over to here to complete the equation." Matsuri leans over Issei's shoulder in order to show him the steps to solving the type of question she was just explaining. Whoa, that was all that was needed? How come I never remember learning about this? Issei gazes in wonderment at the solution Matsuri neatly wrote down. This way of solving such questions is written in your textbooks. Did you not read that chapter, Issei-kun? What textbook? Issei looks at Matsuri with honest confusion in his eyes. Issei-kun, have you ever seen this book before? It's your school textbook. Matsuri hands Issei a semi-thick blue, hard-covered book. No, I've never seen this before. Issei takes the book and flips through it with a bit of consternation. Oh hey, it has what the teacher's been teaching us and solutions too. Issei's eyes glow in joy as he flips to a page with questions he recognizes. After flipping through the textbook for a bit, he turns to look at Matsuri in complete amazement. As expected of you, Matsuri. You're prepared for anything. Ahaha, thanks, Issei-kun. Matsuri takes the compliment in stride and feels her smile twitch slightly. Both Dirt and Naruto look up from their respective cup of coffee and PFP to give Issei the "Are you an idiot?" look behind Issei's back. 4 hours 10 minutes remaining until school opens. And that's the final question. Matsuri checks over the last of Issei's worksheet to see if they missed anything. Good job, Issei-kun. Why don't you go rest for a bit before your tutoring time with Naruto-sama? Issei nods tiredly again for the xth time that day and slumps onto the cool wooden table. Matsuri, by your calculations, what are the chances of Issei passing his tests tomorrow? Considering the fact that he knows most of his exam's question by heart now, he should be able to pull his average up to above the passing requirement. That's good. Prepare the guest futons. Let him sleep for the rest of the night. Yes, Naruto-sama. Is it because you care for his health that you let him sleep in, or is it because you're too lazy to teach him yourself? Dirt smirks at Naruto and helps Matsuri drag Issei's dead body to one of the prepared guests' futon. A little bit of both. Naruto gets up from his spot and walks out of the room to go downstairs. Start sleeping first, I'm gonna go for a walk. Yes, Naruto-sama. Good night, Dirt-san. Matsuri crawls into the furthermost left futon, the one that's next to Naruto's, and begins to sleep. Have a good night, you too. Dirt picks his spot and takes his spot in the futon next to Issei's, who's the furthermost to the right. Good night, you too. Naruto closes the door behind him and walks down the stairs. Once he's in the shop's dining area, he heads towards the entrance. He unlocks the door, leaves the shop, and locks up after himself. Afterward, he begins walking down the empty street. Alone, he speaks aloud. Hey Kurama, you think we got enough in our tank to shape a permanent Gautama? We can make up to 3 temporary ones with full power at our current capacity. A permanent one will have some restrictions. What do you have in mind? Let's make a good luck charm. 1 hour after school opens / 30 minutes remaining until class starts. I'm late. Issei rushes downstairs with his clothes disheveled and his hair a crow's nest. Issei-kun, please wait a moment. Walking out of the shop's kitchen, Matsuri calls after Issei as he jumps down the last few steps of stairs. What's up, Matsuri? Issei stops short at the entrance and turns around to see Matsuri wearing an apron. Here's your lunch and I wish you good luck on your test. Matsuri hands him a bento box while also tucking in his shirt, straightening out his pants folds and buttoning up his jacket all at the same time. Yes, remember your preparations and you should do well. Dirt jumps in as well from his usual seat at the table they always sat at. As always, he has a coffee cup in hand. Yeah. Thanks, I'll do my best. Issei nods confidently and races out the ramen shop when Matsuri lets go. He runs for about a minute to his school's direction before he spots a familiar mop of blonde hair. Oh? Naruto, what are you doing here? Just taking a walk. Here, catch. Oh? Naruto throws a black object at Issei, and the brunette catches it softly in his hands. An omamori? Issei opens his hands to see a pitch-black omamori. He pauses for a second before looking back up to Naruto. Good luck on the test. The blonde walks past Issei and gives him a pat on his shoulder. Without another word, Naruto walks towards the direction of the ramen shop. Thanks, Naruto. Issei grins at Naruto before he starts running to school again. Ring. Safe. Issei rushes into his class just as the bell rings. He slides into his chair and slumps his back into it. He tries to calm his labored breathing and only somehow made himself more nervous for the test. He groans to himself as he tries to remember the Spartan teachings that Naruto, Dirt, and Matsuri tried to imbue into his brain. He somehow managed to remember Matsuri's efficient teachings and Dirt's hands-on, aka lots of writing, approach. For some reason though, he can't remember Naruto's attempt at teaching. Any of it, actually. Knowing how enthusiastic the blonde was at getting him to study, Issei was sure that the blonde did something crazy to teach Issei, but for whatever reasons, he can't remember it. Was Naruto's teaching style so bad that my brain actively tried to wipe out the memories? Is that even possible? Before Issei could continue his train of randomness, the classroom door opened. Since this is a testing day, a random teacher is assigned beforehand to each class to administer the tests to the students. Trying to get his mind off of his re-enclosing nervousness, he took a look at the teacher and did a waterless spit take. Now he understood why he sensed a weird feeling of déjà vu. -10 minutes earlier outside the Ko Academy's school gate. Alright Matsuri, you're the fill-in student for the empty seat next to Issei. Use whatever skills you have to throw off attention to yourself. Dirt, you'll be the first test administrator for Issei's class. I'll be the brain who's in charge of overlooking this situation and giving instructions. The main objective of our mission is to passively encourage Issei to pass the test. All forms of cheating will be regulated by me and carried out by you too. Remember to keep wearing your mini headphones for the remainder of this mission and don't let others notice it. Is there any question? Naruto asks as he sits within the cover of a bush while wearing camel clothing. It didn't really work out because of his blonde tufts. When and how did you even prepare all of this? Dirt asks as he fixes his gray tie while looking at a full-size mirror Matsuri was holding up. About an hour ago I went to the principal and asked. He readily accepted my proposition. Naruto simply said. It wasn't a lie, just not the full truth. He did come to Ko Academy and ask the principal, with an extra helping of grade A Kurama Genjutsu, and the principal did accept, after approximately 10 minutes of genjutsuing. Dirt seems to have left it at that, so Naruto deemed that he didn't need to explain any further. Is there any other question? Seeing the other two squad members shake their head, Naruto grinned and said good. Mission start. Issei's classroom. Dirt passed out the test and went back to the teacher's desk to read his magazine and drink his coffee. He didn't do anything strange when he got to Issei's table besides mouthing the words Naruto's idea, so Issei figured that this is just their way of encouraging him on. An hour passed, and Issei had to admit that he was doing the test with relative ease. So far, he has passed no questions that he did not remember already doing. It was both reassuring and scary how all these answers that Issei's pouring out is from Matsuri's worksheets. He made a mental note to not let the silver-haired girl go near his computer, ever. He was near the end when he came across a question he did not remember doing. He tried to comb his mind of any mention of this question but came up blank. Panicked, he sat there for 5 minutes trying to do it himself, but he soon found that he had no idea where to start. Was this a new concept that Naruto was supposed to go over with him? Is this question in the blank spot of his memory of being with Naruto for the night? In that case, this is extra bad. If he misses this question and Naruto finds out, his porn collection would disappear. Issei sat there practically hyperventilating when something moved from the corners of his eyes. He made a subtle glance towards the moving object and almost screamed aloud at seeing Matsuri sitting in one of the empty seats in the classroom doing the test as well. He rubbed his eyes once and still sees Matsuri wearing the Kyuko Academy uniform. He rubbed them again and still sees a very real Matsuri casually doing the test in the Kyuko Academy uniform. The very real Matsuri took a quick glance at him and then signaled something with her facial expression. He somehow understood her signal and glanced down to her hand, which held 3 fingers up. He immediately understood what that meant and circled the answer choice to the question he had trouble with. Somewhere within his mind, he knew that he was doing something bad, but honestly, he didn't care. Matsuri is being an overqualified bro by trying to help him out. Who is he to reject such a thing? Who is anyone to reject such a thing? And like that, time passed until lunch started. Kyuko Academy's courtyard. Lunch started after the first 3 portions of the test was finished, and the students filed out of the room. Matsuda and Motohama questioned why Issei is staying behind but left quickly when the brunette reminded them that it was the swim club's day to take their physical. Issei also wanted to go as well, but the curiosity for questioning the certified hacker and old man about what they're doing here prevailed. The cheating pair, in turn, smiled at Issei like the Cheshire Cat and led him to the courtyard. They walked up to a tree and Issei saw a familiar mop of blonde hair sticking out from behind it. Circling around, Issei sees Naruto, in orange camo, sitting under the shades of the tree. Naruto sees the group as well and waved. Yo Issei. How's the test so far? The blonde was slurping away at a steaming ramen bowl in his hands. Scarily well. I don't think I need to tell you about it. Issei sits down, facing Naruto, and pulls out the lunchbox Matsuri packed for him earlier. Yes, Naruto-sama only instructed me to help you twice. Matsuri sits next to Naruto, pulls out 2 lunchboxes from her school bag and hands one to Dirt. She turns to Issei and gives him a complimenting smile. Well done, Issei-kun. Where were you anyways? I didn't see you anywhere to observe us. Dirt takes a seat next to me. He looks at Naruto as he opens Matsuri's lunchbox. I was in one of the trees. Naruto waves around the binocular that was hanging off his waist. And I can be very stealthy. It's no wonder you didn't see me. Let me guess, you've been training since the age of 12 in order to become a ninja. Issei deadpans at Naruto. The blonde nodded as he stuffed his face with ramen, while Issei rolled his eyes. Dirt sat there and sips his infinite coffee cup after quickly demolishing Matsuri's lunch. Matsuri pulled out an extra-large thermos as well as 3 cups and hands Naruto and Issei a cup of tea. They sat in relative silence for a while before Naruto spoke. So what do you usually do at lunch break? I usually either eat lunch with Matsuda and Motohama or I go peeking with them. Sometimes both. What a proactive way to spend time in school. Ah, the bliss of youth. Dirt nods sagely at Issei's words as if it was a regular thing that everyone does. What did you do when you were in school, Naruto-sama? Oh, you know, the usual. Practicing how to throw ninja kunai and ninja shurikens, doing some ninja exercises, learning about ninja history and how to do ninja taxes. It's the usual. Nothing about that is usual, you ninja fetishes. Now, Issei-kun. You can't judge others by what they did, in fact, back in my days. Dirt-san, your birth certificate says you're only 39. Not much has changed since your days have passed. While Matsuri-san saying something really scary. Ah, that reminds me. So, you can hack, huh, Matsuri? Yes, but I'm still a novice at it. Naruto-sama is still teaching me some of the deeper inner workings. Oh ho, as expected of the mysterious blonde foreigner. You're working hard to fill out your list of character cliches, aren't you, Naruto-san? Dirt puts down his coffee cup and sarcastically applauds Naruto. The blonde ignores the man in favor of gorging down his newest ramen bowl. Issei looks at the blonde incredulously. Seriously, what do you think ninjas do? Not being hackers, and masters of computer-based espionage, obviously. Hacking was something I learned after I stopped being a ninja. Naruto twitches his head and upper body towards an odd angle mid-sentence, cutting himself off before he looks back to Dirt and Matsuri. Pointing at the two, he gives Matsuri and Dirt quick instructions. Dirt, hide. Matsuri, extra cute smile, aim it at Issei. What? Issei's eyebrows raise when Dirt, who seemed to have understood Naruto, immediately jumps into a bush next to the tree he was previously leaning on. Yes, Naruto-sama. Matsuri snaps her fingers in front of Issei's face to bring his attention over to her before she gives him a literally blinding smile. Wah! Issei covers his eyes at the sudden influx of light and screams, "What's going on?" Matsuda, do you see what I'm seeing? If you're talking about Issei's companions, then yes, I'm seeing it too. Issei's ears twitch as he rubs tears out of his eyes. He turns around to see Matsuda and Motohama through bleary eyes. They are stiffly standing a distance away. It must have been because he wasn't seeing clearly, but why does the two have pained expressions on their faces? Huh! When'd you two get here? Issei, you bastard! Ditching us to go eat lunch with two hot ladies. Go drown yourself beneath Tokyo Bay. Yeah. While we were looking all over for you, you were hanging out with two beauties. Go jump off Mount Fuji. Without answering Issei's question, Matsuda and Motohama run off in the other direction, while screaming this aloud. What? Issei looks at the two in confusion and turns around to ask Matsuri and Naruto what's going on. He freezes when he gets a look at Naruto. Gone was the orange camo, face paint, and binoculars. Now they've become a form-fitting button-up shirt, light makeup, and a pair of seductively hanging glasses. Naruto was dressing up as Naruto-sensei again. This time, though, he dressed in a Ko-Academy female uniform and has his hair flowing freely instead of the tight bun from before. It took Issei a total of 3 seconds before a light bulb popped into existence and dinged. Seriously. Stop doing that. Issei gets up from his seat and lunges at Naruto. Kahahaha. Naruto deftly dodges Issei's lunge and quickly runs off at a just slow enough speed for Issei to still try and catch up to. Ah, the bliss of youth. Dirt sips his coffee as he climbs out from the bush he's hiding in. Issei-kun! Naruto-sama! Class is restarting in 10 minutes, don't be late. Matsuri sips her tea from her seat and reminds the two people running across the schoolyard. Get back here, you idiotic prankster! Kahahaha. It's been a while since I've seen the shop as empty as it is today. Naruto loafed on the usual table in his ramen shop. Besides him was Dirt, who as always, was sipping on his cup of coffee and reading a newspaper. Matsuri was in the kitchen, packing up the remains of today's still plentiful stocks. Issei hadn't come to the shop immediately after school, so he probably got caught peeking and was given detention. It really is rare. I've never seen you having 2 or 3 customers a day since Matsuri-san started working here. Perhaps it is because of the festival across town. Dirt looked up from his newspaper and gave Naruto a possible reasoning for his lack of customers. A festival? Which one? Naruto's interest peaked a little at the mention of a festival. The Sano Festival, Naruto-sama. Matsuri walked out of the kitchen while wiping her hands on her apron. The festival parade passed by the other side of town sometime between 4 and 5 o'clock, earlier this evening. Ring ding. Here you guys are. Everyone in the shop turns to see Issei walking in wearing a simple brown yukata. I didn't see any of you guys at the parade, so I figured you'd be here. Aren't you going to the festival? Issei asks while looking at the undecorated group. Why'd you figure we'd be at the parade? Naruto asks the teen in the dark brown kimono and sandals. Well, since the festival is always held on the other side of town, this shopping district usually closes down at lunchtime. Most of the shop owners here opens up a stall near the shrine where the festival is held, so I figure you'd be there too. Didn't your neighbors tell you that? Issei explains to him while giving his blonde friend a questioning look. No, I don't speak to my neighbors often. They think that I'm an insanity asylum escaped convict. I'm not even going to ask. He looks over to Dirt and Matsuri. So you guys want to go to the festival or not? Well, it does sound more enjoyable than staying in this secluded shop the whole time. Dirt scratches his stubble. It would be nice to see what a festival is like for once. Matsuri glances at Naruto to see if he wants to go. She would gladly stay behind with the blonde if he chooses to not go. A festival, huh? Sounds fun, let's go. Naruto was at the shop's entrance and dressed in an orange yukata before anyone could blink. One moment he was lazily slouching on the table and the next, he's energetically bouncing like a kid on a sugar rush at the door. Hurry up. Come on already. We've wasted enough time. The blonde runs out of the entrance and headed in the wrong direction. Ah, wait for me, Naruto-sama. Matsuri chased after the blonde in orange, also going in the wrong direction. Hey! Where are you guys going? The temple is that way. Issei bounds out of the shop and tries to get their attention. He ended up having to chase them while yelling wrong way. Ah, the blessing of youth. Dirt walks out the shop last and locked the door for Naruto. He then leisurely followed the noise of Issei's yell while sipping on his cup of infinite coffee. Wow, so that's the shrine. It's surprisingly crowded everywhere. Matsuri looks around in wonderment. They have not passed the shrine's gate yet and the young Yukai was already feeling a bit swamp. Discreetly, she moved closer to her blonde master who has lost his earlier hype and went back to his usual lazy impassiveness. Of course, this is a traditional festival. Practically every neighborhood is here. Issei answered Matsuri's silent question while weaving through the crowd. Though I honestly have no idea what this festival is celebrating, I can definitely say I know some awesome food stands. If youth keeps up like this, our honorable olden traditions will come to an end. Dirt contemplates aloud while actively doing his best to keep the group together. Because it's so crowded, everyone needs to make room for each other to maneuver. Dirt took it on himself to maintain the group within a close enough distance to where they can locate each other by sight or voice. I wonder if they have ramen here. Naruto asks a question with enough volume to reach Issei, the makeshift guide to the festival for the group. The ramen chef looked around some of the stores near the shrine but found nothing of interest. There were a few toy shops and a couple of kimono rental, but nothing that really connects with the blonde. If you want ramen, just go home. Issei deadpans at his blonde friend's obsession to the noodly treat. I think they sell yakisoba at the stands in the shrines, Naruto-sama. Matsuri suggests as she continues to stick near the blonde. Everyone, we've passed the front gate. Gather up or you'll get lost. Dirt comically inputs as they walked under the red wooden shrine gate and into the temple ground. Pfft. We're not kids, Dirt. I don't think we can get lost even if we want to. Before Issei could continue his retort to Dirt's advice, a sudden crowd appeared out of nowhere and passes through the gate just after them. Like a certain comedic scene that tends to show up from time to time in some dating sims, Issei, Dirt, Naruto and Matsuri got separated, each member dragged off by their own little crowd. Seriously? What the heck? Was all that Issei could yell aloud against the physical embodiment of the humorous force acting imposingly to his words. In an act of defiance, he reached past the barrier of his little crowd in order to grab onto one of his friend's hand. He managed to grab onto a soft, effeminate, and yet somehow manly hand. Feeling like he already knew whose hand it was from his sense of touch, he pulled the hand and its person out of both their prospective crowds. Not wanting to be dragged around by mysteriously illusional crowds again, Issei wasted no time to get out of the entrance area and paced quickly to the temple area, all while not letting go of Matsuri's hand. Phew, I think we're safe from that mysterious crowd now. Issei relaxed himself after making it to the stall area, which is too disjointed to have mysterious crowds appearing without him noticing. Hey Matsuri, did you see where the other two went? He turned around to ask his silver-haired friend when he widened his eyes at the person he saw instead. The person is blonde and has blue eyes. The person is wearing an orange outfit. The person has a droopy-looking stare aimed at Issei. The person is, however, not Naruto, or his strangely realistic disguise, Naruto. The person is female. Her ponytailed blonde hair is a paler and more ethereal shade of blonde than compared to his friends. Her eyes, while blue, is leaning more towards greenish, and the blank stare that she was giving to Issei seemed more natural due to the lack of light flecks reflecting from her pupils. Her body is beautifully curved and much more natural than compared to his blonde friend's proportionally outrageous disguise. The girl/young woman before him is extremely charming and someone he does not know, and he's still holding her hand. Ding. I'm sorry for dragging you around like that. Quickly letting go of the strangely manly hand, Issei backed away from the blonde beauty and bowed his head to a near 90-degree angle. He held his head like that for another few seconds before raising it again to look at the girl. She had a knuckle in front of her mouth, as if to cover up whatever sound she was making, and she was shaking from what seems to be laughter. Yes, that is definitely laughter she's trying to cover up. Wah. Fooled ya. The blonde whispered in a low volume while giving Issei a shit-eating grin. It took the brunette a few seconds to process the words, another few seconds to understand its meaning, and a few more to recognize the originator's voice. Naruto? Dirt. He saw the crowd coming from behind them and made to warn the group, but they didn't heed his warnings. Issei-kun seemed to have had a smart aleck answer readying for a mission when the crowd made impact. As expected, the little group was splintered apart. He managed to sidestep the crowd and dodge the wave, but the others weren't so lucky. He saw Issei dragging Naruto away to the stalls and Matsuri getting dragged towards the praying ground. It looks like I managed to lose them anyways. Oh well, we'll probably meet up again. Let's see, where's the coffee stand around here? The middle-aged man sighed as he blended into the crowd while sipping his coffee. Matsuri. She managed to finally escape from the bondage of the crowd too late. Looking around, she couldn't find a trace of her master's incandescent blonde hair. Wilting noticeably, she begins her trudge back to the temple grounds entrance in hopes of finding her lord when she notices something in her hand. Confused as to when it had gotten there, the silverette opens a letter in her hand. In it were 100,000 yen and a note that states, "Looks like we got separated, sorry Matsuri. Here's some money, enjoy yourself. I'll meet up after a bit, hopefully with the others as well. Have fun." Ahihi, Naruto-sama. What did you expect me to do to be putting in so much money? She giggles a little at her chosen lord's antic before taking him up on his offer and walked to the stall area to enjoy herself. Naruto and Issei. Oh come on. Don't be pouting, it doesn't fit you, Naruto said to Issei as he bit on his candied apple. Besides, I would have thought that you'd get used to this by now. He looks over to the pouting Issei who's questioning his sensuality. The brunette keeps muttering something on the line of "it's a guy, it's a girl, the guy's a girl, and the girl's a guy." In the back of his mind, Naruto decided to hold back on messing with his henge technique for a while. It wouldn't do if Issei were to start suspecting every hot female he sees and interacts with as a certain blonde in disguise after all. Stop muttering already. Didn't you want to enjoy the festival? Here, eat this. Naruto gave Issei a slight scowl and shoved a cotton candy he got earlier into Issei's hand. It effectively snapped the brunette out of his trance as he confusedly looks between the sugary treat and his blonde friend. Ah, thanks. Issei gave his thanks before joining the blonde in eating the treats while walking around the stall area. Huh, this is pretty good, where'd you get it? He finishes the cotton candy fairly quickly and asks Naruto, who finished his candied apple at the same time. A few stalls back. The guy gave it to me for free when I gave him a cute smile. Naruto flashed Issei a cute smile that had previously enraptured many stall owners. Issei mentally admitted that he would have also fallen for it too if it was not for the wielder's confession. You dress like that to get free food? Issei deadpans at Naruto's strange habits and its reason. The ninja excuse was random enough to fit Naruto, but dressing up to get free food sounds a bit too much for the blonde. Nah, I do it to mess with people. Spook them a little and make them double think themselves. It's hilarious. The blonde openly responds to Issei's deadpan. He didn't miss the brunette's flinch as the boy thought of his situation. Catching a whiff something good smelling from nearby, Naruto grabbed Issei's arm and led him to the smell of more delicious, and most likely free, food. Hey old man, can I get 2 of that serving? Naruto calls out to the stand owner who was concentrating on making his takoyakis. Ha ha, anything for you sweet. The man laughs at Naruto's direct attitude and looks up from his work. He cuts himself off as he recognizes something after seeing the blonde male, currently female, in full. The man squints his eyes and took 2 noticeable whiffs of air before he opens them again in surprise. Uzumaki-san, is that you? Naruto took his turn scrutinizing the man. He seemed familiar, but the blonde couldn't quite put a finger on it. Flashing his chakra to activate his chakra sensing thingy power, a certain group clicked into his mind. Ah, you're the one of the scouts. Bingo. And in one try too, good job Uzumaki-san. Here's a prize for naming me right on the first try and almost fooling me with your disguise. The scout/takoyaki stand owner handed Naruto his order of 2 boxes of takoyaki. How'd you see through the disguise? I thought I did a good job at hiding my identity. Naruto accepted the box offerings and handed one to Issei, who wasn't paying any attention at all to the conversation in favor of ogling a pair of cute girls walking by. Leave it to the hormonal teen to have tact in the weirdest places and circumstance. It is a good disguise, but you should realize that nearly everyone I work with is also in disguise. I have a way of telling what's underneath a physical mask. The man tapped his nose while filling out another order for the customers that was behind Naruto. So you're showing the young one the culture of Japan? I would be if we didn't get separated. Naruto stepped out of the way as the scout handed the customers behind him their orders. Ha ha ha, crowded temples tends to do that to people. The man laughed aloud and splattered some more of the batter onto the hot pan. If you find her though, lead her to the back gates over there by the temple ground. She's living in the human world, but that doesn't excuse her from having full enjoyment with our side of things, Who knows, maybe she's already there. Will do. Thanks for telling me. The blonde nodded to the suggestion and walks off, dragging Issei along by his yukata's collar as he wears a perverted smile from seeing an accidental panty flash. The blonde flashed his chakra once more to use his chakra sensing thingy power to locate Matsuri. She was on the other side of the stall area, at the gaming stalls. Though he wasn't much of a sensor, he can still tell some emotions by the vague movements of a person's energy. Matsuri's was calm yet energetic, showing that she's, hopefully, enjoying herself. Glad that his sort of roommate is having fun, he walks to the gate that the scout had mentioned before. He has no idea what to expect, but he sure as heck knew that it was different from what he's seeing now. Even before he met Matsuri, he knew that there was more than humans living in this world like the bijus and summonings of his previous world, but the problem was that he never really bothered looking into them until Matsuri appeared. Knowing nothing more than a few Wikipedia searches, he was kind of excited about what's to come. Hey Naruto, where are we going? Issei, on the other hand, was beginning to sweat in apprehension. When he finally noticed his surrounding was auspiciously missing cute females in kimonos, Naruto had already dragged him off to who knows where. The glint in the blonde's eyes that reminds him too much of serious Naruto is already a warning flare. The fact that human activity was thinning out and dead trees were becoming more prominent by the second wasn't doing much to help. A fun place that my friend suggested. I see it right over there, Naruto said as he points towards an aged shrine gate surrounded by walls. The oppressive aura that was visibly surrounding the shrine gate made Issei gulp aloud. Fun? You sure this friend of yours is trustworthy? No, not really. The blonde answers in complete honesty. If this was an attack, he'd just either kick some ass or QB Hirasahin out of here. He's not that worried, unlike his profusely sweating friend whom he's still dragging around. As he steps into the gate's vicinity, a nearly untraceable pulse of power vibrated from the gate and touched both teens. Naruto felt his chakra surge forward to counter the power, and he felt the inactive Gautama in Issei's pocket do the same. The power retreated back to the shrine gate and the oppressive aura from earlier dissipated. It seems that was the gate's anti-human function. Maybe he should look into whatever that power was. It certainly wasn't chakra, not that the humans of this world produce much of the energy substance to begin with, being with no chakra coils and all. He let Issei walk on his own again and motioned the teen to follow him past the gate. The difference between the inner and outer portion of the gate was tremendous. Outside is a small field surrounded by dying grass and trees. Inside is a bustling festival that's even more hectic than the one outside. Stalls surround shops that were surrounded by yukais, some in their full yukai form while others, still human form, crowding everywhere. Wow, since when they make a costume area here? Figures that your friend would be into cosplaying, the brunette boy said as he whistles and gives the cross-dressing blonde a grin. It's impressive that he's never heard of it before, but that's probably because he didn't know the right people to talk to. Naruto grinned maniacally when he saw an 8-foot-tall Oni making delicate sweets and a little girl arm wrestling something even bigger than the Oni elsewhere. This was going to be fun. Matsuri. Ah, you're the youngling/scout. Both Matsuri and the takoyaki stand owner pointed at each other out as they recognized one another. The stand owner was focusing on making yet another great batch of takoyaki when he heard a familiar voice ordering a box and looked up to see who it was. Matsuri was finishing with raiding the gaming stalls and getting some great prizes that Naruto-sama would have enjoyed when she got hungry and decided to get some takoyaki. So the boy still hasn't found you, huh? The man packs up some takoyaki into a box and shuts off his grill. He hands Matsuri the box filled with takoyaki. I trust that Naruto-sama will find me sooner or later. Matsuri accepted the box and reaches into her sleeve to get some of Naruto's fund. The man stopped her by saying, No need, that one's on the house. I'm closing down anyways. Really? But it's still so early. Nah, I am moving on to my main job. Hey youngling, mind answering some question? The man walks out the back and motioned Matsuri to follow. Your main job? Matsuri made no attempt to follow the man, but she didn't retreat either. The man was someone that she is well acquainted with, so she can somewhat feel that he won't hurt her. She decided it best to gather more information on what the man wanted to begin with. Yes, a scout, or rather your scout. It's been a while since I've been stationed here to monitor your activities. Usually, we'd leave it off if the yukai and their host agrees to live together. The situation with you, however, is a bit special. I wish to ask some questions and maybe answer a few to make my job easier. The scout explains to the cautious girl his intentions, and jokingly puts his hands up in the air as if to surrender. Matsuri found the answer satisfactory and begins to cautiously follow the man. They didn't move far, or rather, at all, as they only moved to the back of the stall. Hidden in the shadows of the stall, the scout made a few hand gestures and stuck a piece of paper onto the stall's wall. Matsuri felt a chill crawling up her spine as the air between her and the scout shimmered. She tenses and looks at the man questionably. Don't worry, this is just a barrier to tone down volume inside and keep away curious eyes. You can easily walk out or even scream and people will notice you again. The scout scratches the back of his head and gives Matsuri a disarming smile. It still calmed her, even if by a small amount. Okay. What is it you want to ask? Disregarding her caution for now, she asked the man for his question. The first, what is your host in any way or form hurting you or influencing you to do anything you do not wish to do? The man pulls out 2 folding chairs and hands one to Matsuri. He then sat down on his and pulls out a small journal and began reading from it. He looks up at his interviewer and gives an almost apologetic smile. Sorry, it's part of the job, even if it's a stupid question. No, it's alright. Matsuri smiles demurely as she slightly relaxes some more after seeing that the man was speaking truthfully, according to Naruto-sama's lie-sensing lessons. Matsuri taps her chin in wonderment and answers the scout's question. Naruto-sama has been very kind to me. He never asked me to help him with his shop even though I was staying in his house for free. He stated outright that he has connections to let me go wherever I wished whenever I wished, and he even taught me skills that are usually not taught but learned through experience. Overall, Naruto-sama has been a perfect host. I see, that answers the next question. What's next? The scout pulls out a pen and wrote something down before flipping the pages and writing in it every now and then. He asked her a few more questions such as, would you prefer staying with a yukai family over a human family? And does he feed you properly? Matsuri answers them all truthfully, and before she knew it, the scout closed his journal and stood up with a relieved sigh escaping his lips. Phew, glad that's done. Thanks for answering the questions, youngling. This'll help me finish off some paperwork much more efficiently. No problem. Please come and visit our shop if you really want to thank us. Matsuri gave him a winning smile as she shamelessly advertised her shop. She made to walk back out of the shadows when the scout stops her to tell her something more. Hang on a sec. Earlier, your host came by and showed a certain skill set to me without noticing. I never noticed before, but now that I did, I'll have to report it to my superiors. Tell me, do you think your master is special in any way? Naruto-sama has a bewildering mindset and tends to act very spontaneously. I do not know what you are talking about, but he does seem to be well aware of yukais before I came into his life. At least, that is my impression from his ease with accepting me. Seeing nothing wrong with answering the man, Matsuri replies like she did before, truthfully. I see, thank you for accommodating me on answering these strange questions. Go back and have fun at the festival. I suggest the 5th stall to the left of here, they have good buttered grilled corn. The man smiles dryly and stalked off into the deeper shadowed areas of the shrine before completely disappearing. Matsuri looks at the spot where he disappeared for a few seconds before returning to the lights while humming to herself. Dirt. Excuse me, do you sell coffee at this stand? Sir, you asked me that not 5 minutes earlier and 30 minutes before that. We only sell buttered grilled corn here. Damn it! Dirt staggers off again and blends into the crowd to continue his self-appointed quest of finding any drinkable coffee. A few seconds later, a certain Silverette walks by and orders a serving of the corn as suggested from her earlier companion. Naruto and Issei. Seriously, this place is really elaborate. Issei looks around in awe at the stalls and shops they still haven't been to yet. There are so many places that each have their own yukai-related specialty. So far he and Naruto has visited the goldfish scooping stall, which had man-eating fish, the caricature stall, which drew what they look like if they were a yukai. He was an oni while Naruto was a kitsune, the gift-shooting stall, which Naruto earned them a pair of authentic heterochromatic lizard newt eyeballs, and the sumo stage, which had 2 really big oni-like men duking it out. This place was freakishly amazing. We've been here for a while, maybe we should go and find the others now. Naruto slurped up some yakisoba noodles while looking around for the familiar gate in which they entered. You're right. Wow, time passed by quickly. Issei pulled out his cell phone to check the time and found that time really has passed by without him noticing. In his moment of procrastination, he displaced his thoughts from being mindful of the crowd and bumped into someone. He fell down and looked up to see a half-drunk man. Watch wh going brat. The tipsy man glared down at Issei and squints his eyes. He looks over to Naruto and scowls prominently. Why the hell are your kind doing here? Before Issei could react, the man grabs him by the collar of his yukata and heaved him up in an incredible display of strength. The now threatening-looking man made to say something but stopped when a hand grabbed his wrist. Please let my friend go. In his panic, Issei made a half-turn to see who had said that. He identified his savior as the now de-disguised Naruto, glowering at the man who held Issei. The man yelped and dropped Issei on his rear once more before pulling his wrist out of the blonde's hold. Naruto stepped in front of Issei and continued glowering at the man. The man glared at both Issei and Naruto as he rubbed his wrist, and Issei was just confused and scared shitless at the sudden atmosphere of near violence. It continued this way for a few more moments before another man broke through the crowd and ran towards the man who grabbed Issei. The newcomer patted the offender on the back to grab his attention, and then the two had a heated whisper discussion. It was really a half-whisper conversation, seeing as the drunken man said everything in full volume. Issei heard a few lines like, "But they're probably host. Why they here visit fun is all," but couldn't make heads or tails of their conversation. Sooner or later, the drunk conceded to the other man and stepped back. The other man stepped forward and bowed his head towards Naruto's and Issei's direction. Sorry about that. My friend had a bit too much spirits and couldn't tell where he was. It was an honest mistake. Sorry about that. The man looks up with a goofy half-crooked grin and silently asks for an acceptance to his apology. That's okay, just please be more mindful of others. Naruto nodded slowly but still kept his glare. The man bowed a second time before turning to drag his drunk friend away. Just as they disappeared into the crowd, Naruto turns around and pulled Issei onto his feet. He then grabbed Issei's hand and walked off in the opposite direction of the other two. So what was that about? Issei breaks the uncomfortable silence that persisted as the two walked. Naruto paused and lets go off Issei's hand. The blonde turns around and Issei could literally see the change from serious to droopy on his friend's face. He looks at Issei with a lazy demeanor and gave a slow blink before saying, "No idea. Probably just some drunken rambling," Naruto simply said while giving Issei his lazy stare. Issei didn't believe one bit of that but decided that if his friend was going to keep silent about something then he should just let it be. It's not like he even understood what that something was. He just knew that him being there drew the man's aggression. Perhaps he's the father of one of the girls that he, Matsuda and Motohama peeked on. That would explain a lot of things. They walked in silence once more, though this time, without any of the thickness of the earlier atmosphere. Once they made it past the worn gates from earlier, they walked to the stalls area. Naruto turned his head a few times as if to look for something and Issei followed along. He saw a flash of silver moving in the crowd and called out, "Matsuri!" The silverhead paused and turned to the voice. It took her a moment, but she seized a mop of blonde that could only belong to her master and spiky brown locks next to it. She navigates herself through the crowd and smiled happily as she sees her master and friend. "Hello Issei-kun, Naruto-sama, did you enjoy the festival?" Issei flinched as if he remembered something bad and gave an awkward smile. Naruto nodded his head and asked her the same question with a drowsy smile. "It was enjoyable. How did you enjoy the festival, Matsuri?" "I had fun, thank you very much, Naruto-sama." Matsuri bowed her head to Naruto to show gratitude for him giving her money to enjoy herself. Naruto waved it off and Matsuri raised her head again. "Is Dirt-san not with you?" The silverette looks around to locate the last member of the group but found that he was missing. "Meh, the guy's probably off trying to find coffee or something." Issei quips at Dirt's affection for coffee. "I don't know, maybe poor little Dirt got lost in the crowd." Naruto follows up with a grin. Beep beep beep. Before the group could continue their conversation, a speaker rang overhead and said, "Attention all festival participants. This is an announcement from the Lost Child Service. Will the parents and or guardian of one Dirterd please come and pick him up? I repeat, will the parents and or guardian of one Dirterd please come and pick him up?" DRT. The group scrambles to find the lost child office. I seem to have run out of coffee," Dirt says as he puts down the ever-present cup of coffee in his hands. Naruto drops his controller. Matsuri drops her broom. Issei drops his pencil. Eerily, the three turn their heads to Dirt's direction as one, mouth agape and eyes widened in shock. "What? Did I miss something?" Dirt looks around at those staring at him inquiringly. Chaos exploded. "Matsuri! Go get coffee ASAP." Naruto jumps out of his chair and orders Matsuri to go to the kitchen to prepare Dirt's life essence. He then walks over to Dirt and pats the man gently while saying, "Breath man, it's okay. Matsuri will get some nectar immediately. Don't die on us here." "Yes, Naruto-sama." Matsuri bolts over the counter and enters the kitchen immediately after Naruto's command. "Hello 119? This is an emergency. My friend is rapidly losing the liquid that's keeping him alive." Issei pulls out his phone and instantly begins filling in the request for an ambulance. Isn't this going a bit overboard? I'm not so into coffee that I need it to live, you know." Dirt begins chuckling as he figures out the cause of the commotion. He feels Naruto's deadpan drilling through him on his back without even turning around. He sees Issei closing his phone and turning around to add another deadpan to the group. Matsuri sticks her head out of the kitchen and adds the third and final deadpan. You drink the stuff every day. You never seem to not be drinking the thing. Frankly speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if your blood is 99% coffee, Dirt-san. I limit it to only 20 cups a day, you know. That's still a lot. So mean. And here I was hoping to teach you kids the ancient art of coffee making. Dirt attempt to pout, which caused Issei and Naruto to back off, while Matsuri stuck her head back inside the kitchen. So you wanted to show us how to make coffee? What's the point? Even Issei knows how to use a coffee machine, probably. Naruto picks up his controller off of the ground and sits down again, while giving Dirt a raised eyebrow. I'm not going to give you the pleasure of replying to that. Issei scowls in Naruto's direction and returns to his homework. Coffee machine? No, I don't mean that pathetic and miserable excuse of a half-assed drunken monkey bartender with no hands. No, what I mean is real coffee making. What I meant is this. With an engaging air flowing from him, Dirt pulls a large suitcase out of nowhere and puts it on the table, which Issei had half in mind to clear up. Naruto shuts off his game system to see what Dirt was planning on doing, and Dirt dramatically flips the case open as he gathered everyone's attention, including Matsuri's, who's peeking out of the kitchen entrance. Inside the case was an assorted collection of tools, machines, and beans. Issei stared at it and picked up one of the machines. He examined it for a while and looked over to Dirt. A fancier coffee machine? Naruto's automatic response was to smack the brunette upside his head, while Dirt lamented on how his tools was being compared to the armless monkey. Matsuri chuckled and told Issei that the thing he was holding was a portable water heater. So you wanted to show us the ancient art of coffee making by using modern tools for making coffee? Naruto raises his eyebrow as he holds up an electronic stove. The ancients wished they had this kind of technology. Dirt deadpans and unpacks all the tools. He lastly puts down the bag of, probably, coffee beans and clears his throat. I wanted to treat you kids to a proper cup of coffee since you've been looking sullen these past few days. True to his words, the shop's atmosphere has been leaning from calm and relaxing to eerily quiet and downright depressing the past few days due to a series of unimportant and unrelated circumstances such as Matsuri slipping and breaking some plates, Issei taking one too many beatings from various females that he and his friends peeped on, Naruto having finally finished all his dating sims and having nothing to do, and Dirt, well, nothing really happened to Dirt. Put together in approximately the same time frame, the sullen atmosphere was created without anyone realizing it except for Dirt. So you brought all of this to make us coffee? Issei questions Dirt's plan. Not at all. I wanted to show you the art of coffee making so that you can do it yourself and cleanse your mind of all its earthly burden. To wash away all the taint that depression had left you with through the cleansing effects of the black nectar of the gods. And you wonder why we call you a damn coffee addict? Naruto stares at the middle-aged man stonily. Everyone knows that ramen is the true nectar of the gods. To say otherwise is blasphemy. I remember a coffee cake recipe I looked up earlier. Maybe I should try making some? Matsuri offers her input from behind the kitchen's line. Dirt smiled and nodded while her lord shrugged. She took that as a go-ahead sign and withdrew into the kitchen's interior to prepare the sweet treat. To make coffee you must first. Dirt turns back towards the boys and began his lecture on coffee. Naruto and Issei didn't understand half of it and didn't bother remembering the other half. They would normally have tuned him out by now, but to their shock, they found themselves being enraptured by his words. His tone, his gestures, his various actions to use his tools all took their attention towards him, and only him. The two could have done nothing except silently accept their fate, while Dirt blabbers on about coffee. After what seemed like an eternity, approximately 20 minutes, of grilling, smoking, grinding and dripping the beans, Dirt puts 1 cup of coffee each in front of the hollow-eyed boys. The two took a sip and slammed the cup down instantaneously. It tastes exactly like regular coffee. I thought you two want a normal coffee that tastes like the handless monkeys. Dirt evenly replies as he sips his own cup. Besides, that was just to show you two how to prepare a cup. Show me up and make a better one. The middle-aged man attempts to challenge the two. He was at least fairly sure that Issei would be all for it. Might as well. Issei harumphs loudly and stood up to attempt what Dirt had shown him. The middle-aged man took a seat and watched the young high schooler struggle with the stove. He thought that it wasn't that hard. All he had to do was follow the steps that Dirt had attempted to explain to him. Though he struggled with the tools, he didn't have much problems attempting to make his coffee, but throughout the whole process, he felt something missing. A memory of earlier came to mind. Coffee is an energizing essence that wakes up the drinker. If the brewer is just as down as the drinker, then the essence will be lost. The key in coffee making is not skill or technique, the only true secret is unending will to get what one wants. So that's it. Issei recollected himself after days of depression and truly opened his eyes. So what if the kendo club has given such a rough beating? That should be nothing in the face of a harem king. A harem king is one who stands above all others and faces tribulations after tribulations without flinching. What is he doing now? Why is he moping around? This isn't how a harem king should be. If he wanted to be a harem king, then he should be standing strong with his back straight. Woohoo! The brunette abandoned his earlier attempt at coffee making and begins to redo his work with renewed vigor. Everything he does, every step he finishes was imbued with the energy that would have lighted up Tokyo for days on end. From the roasting to the grinding and even the brewing, the boy did everything with absolute confidence and energy. Dirt smiled at the boy as he figured out what the middle-aged man was trying to do. Naruto perked up with interest as his previously lethargic friend suddenly brimmed with energy. Order up. Once the boy was finished, he poured the final product within 2 cups of coffee and served it to his 2 waiting friends. The 2 took the coffee wordlessly and sipped it only to spit it back out in a simultaneous spit take that even came with a small coffee-colored rainbow. What's wrong? Is the coffee that bad? Issei was taken aback at the reactions of his friends. Sure, it might have tasted a little off, but isn't that a bit much? The hell is this goat's milk? Naruto squints his eyes and looks at his cup suspiciously. Know the subtle taste, it's like goat's milk, but it's different. This is breast milk. Dirt declares after taking 1 or 2 more cautious sips. What are you two going on? Issei furrowed his eyebrows at the two's answer and poured himself a cup. Much to his dismay, the cup that held what looked and smelled like coffee tasted like very nutritious milk. The hell? Wait a sec, if this is breast milk and Issei made this, doesn't that mean that we're drinking? Naruto didn't need to finish his sentence, as everyone in the room shuddered and came to one conclusion. Issei, never make coffee again. Sir, yes sir. Good, let's move on and forget that this event ever happened. Dirt attempts to get his mind off of the taste of Issei's breast milk. He gestured in Naruto's direction and said, Naruto-san, why don't you give it a try? The blonde shudders noticeably and gets out of his chair to go to the items. He stood there and glares at the tools for a few tense seconds while Issei situates himself back into his seat. Finally, the ramen chef sighs and said to Dirt, my cook's pride cannot allow me to use another's tools. Without saying anything else or even wait for a response, the chef grabbed the bag of coffee beans and walked into the kitchen's interior. A few seconds later, Matsuri was gently pushed out and the kitchen's door was slammed shut before the confused Silverette could even blink and say, eh? Issei and Dirt walks up to the confused girl as she stares at the door. The 3 stood in silence, prickling their ears against the wood to hear what the blonde was planning, and then withdrew as one when a loud clang crashed from inside. Another loud clang followed and a whoosh of fire being lit came after. Soon, the kitchen became a cacophony of sound and all those who were outside thought one thing. Is he making ramen? 5 minutes passed and no change happened to the situation. Dirt and Issei walks back to the table while Matsuri decided to sweep the floor again. Dirt turned on the television to find something to occupy himself with while Issei went back to his homework. An hour later. The kitchen door was slammed open and Naruto proudly walks out with a platter holding 4 large bowls of steaming hot ramen. He walks to the table and sets down the platter to distribute the bowls and 4 small plates of cake that was previously hidden behind the bowls. He gestures Matsuri to come and eat while carefully reading the reactions of the other 2. Issei naturally has a look of distrust against both the blonde and his mysterious, unidentified bowl of ramen. Dirt curiously swirls around the ramen broth with squinted eyes. Matsuri sat down at the table and stared at the bowl as well. Naruto took the initiative to show that the noodles weren't poisoned and ate first. Matsuri followed in afterwards and ate it with a surprising amount of gusto. Dirt shrugged and followed soon afterwards and slowly ate. Issei gave in last and ate the noodles. Everyone had a varied look of enjoyment to their bowl of noodles. Naruto, like everything else that involved the word ramen, finished his bowl and cake in 30 seconds flat. Dirt, who looked like he ate slowly, finished next and slurped up the remaining broth with zest. Matsuri was the third to clean off her bowl and cake with a contemplating lick of her lips. Issei finished last as usual and sat his bowl to the corner. The 4 sat in silence once more, each one taking up their own thinking pose. So? How was it? Naruto leaned back on his chair so that he can get a good read on everyone. The others gave his question some thought, and it was Matsuri who answered first. I liked how you instilled the essence of the kitsune ramen into my bowl. The flavor of your dark coffee broth went well with the erratic combination that the kitsune special had to begin with. The cake that was supposed to sweeten the taste bud against the bitterness of the coffee only went to emphasize the multiple combination levels of the saltiness and sweetness within the bowl. It tasted surprisingly well for such a strange mixture. As always, Matsuri gave a lengthy description of what she liked about the ramen to boast Naruto's confidence level. Though not as descriptive as Matsuri-san, I thought that you handled the flavoring of the dark coffee beans quite well. To bring out its taste and natural sweetness with none of the bitterness is quite something. Dirt gave his approval after Matsuri finished. It tasted good, Issei, the ever flatulent food critic that he is, said after everyone finished. Naruto nodded at each of the critics that his ramen got. He smiled at each positive remark and finally said, so if you had a chance, would you eat this ramen again? I would eat anything Naruto-sama makes. I could go for it on occasions. It's better than plain pork ramen, so sure, why not? Great. Then you can help me finish off the other 7 experimental pots. Dirt and Issei immediately made a run for the exit. He said that they got in line early. I wonder where they are, Issei mutters to himself as he walks along the crowded line that's waiting for the midnight release of a certain dating sim called Love Schoolfest. It's supposedly the second addition to the first Love Schoolfest. That Issei remembered he once bought an Otome version of and left at Naruto's but couldn't find any information about it on the net other than the fact that it's a ghost game afterwards. He had told Naruto about it as well as his intentions to buy the second Love Schoolfest. And Matsuri immediately jumped at the news. Somehow or another, Naruto ended up scheduling a meeting at the midnight release with everyone. According to the text, Naruto and Matsuri got there early, Dirt came a while later, and Issei was the last one due to his homework. Who knew Matsuri was a fan of that franchise? After walking past half of the crowd and still not seeing them, Issei pulled out his phone and called Naruto's. The blonde answered his phone on the 3rd ring. Hey Naruto, where are you guys? You must be pretty far off if you haven't seen us yet. What do you mean by that? Just keep walking and you'll see what I'm talking about, yawn. Geez, don't fall asleep before I get there. You're the one who planned this. At least have the dignity to be awake enough to buy the game yourself. Yawn, sorry, it's just really comfortable. Comfortable? It's half raining out here. How are you, Confir? Issei made a half choking, half snorting sound as he saw what Naruto meant. Ah, you're here. I see you over there. Hi, Issei. A little distance off, Naruto started waving at Issei with one hand while he held a cell phone in the other. He was sticking his head out of a large orange camping tent that was big enough to comfortably hold 6 people. The tent had wheels under it and 2 oars sticking out on the sides. If that wasn't ridiculous enough, the smell of food that wafted out of the tent as he got closer sure made up for it. He ignored the weirded out look that he got from the other game buyers as he walked up to the tent and went inside. Ah, Issei-kun, just in time. The hot pot is almost ready. Matsuri greeted Issei as he walks in. She sat at the low-lying table in the middle of the tent while cooking the hot pot's broth. Naruto was at one side of the tent playing his portable GS and rolling around comfortably on a bunch of blankets like some sort of lazy overgrown house pet. Dirt was on another side reading a magazine while sipping his coffee. Seriously? Couldn't you have just waited in the line like normal people? Normal is overrated, Dirt begins in monotone, like it was a practice line that he had prepared for this occasion. Eccentric people is what makes the world go round. Naruto finished with a smirk. Issei rolled his eyes and smiled in exasperation. He couldn't argue with that whimsical-sounding line. He walked over to Matsuri to help her with anything she might need help with. She asked him to prepare some plates and get the drinks from the cooler. He laid the plates and the chopsticks on the 4 sides of the table and filled 3 cups of ice for himself, Matsuri, and Naruto. Dirt didn't need any as he already got his coffee. Another 5 minutes of preparations and Matsuri deemed it good enough to eat. Everyone, food's ready. Naruto Caterpillar crawled his way to the table and Dirt walked and sat down at the table. Once settled, everyone clapped their hands in unison and said "Itadakimasu." Each one began chowing down their own food of choice. Dirt ladled some soup, Issei cooked some meat, Naruto got 2 eggs and Matsuri went hot pot shogun. It was a quiet meal that finished in roughly half an hour. Dirt volunteered to go throw away the disposable since he also needs a refill of coffee. Matsuri cleaned the mess within 5 minutes and Issei found himself with one problem. How's he going to spend the leftover 4 hours before the midnight opening? Naruto had his portable game, Dirt got his magazines, Matsuri isn't ADHD enough to lose her mentality after sitting still for more than an hour, but Issei has none of those features. He almost wished he brought some homework. Matsuri, as if noticing Issei's problem, tapped him on his shoulder and brought out a pink portable PXB system. Issei-kun, would you like to help me clear some routes from the first Love Schoolfest that I have trouble with? It's the Tsundere route that Naruto-sama refuses to touch no matter what. Matsuri gave a sort of troubled smile at Naruto's direction as the blonde noticeably becomes lazier in his fortress of blankets. Issei had to hold himself back from jumping the silver-haired girl while screaming, "Matsuri! You're such a bro!" 5 minutes into game on the Tsundere route was all it took for Issei to nearly throw the PXB out of the window hole. Whoever the hell thought that the idea of combining the cool and collected attitude of a Kaderi and the abrasive words of a Tsundere was a good one ought to seppuku themselves. Seriously, there isn't even a noticeable route. What kind of bad end is it when the heroine hands the player a poison bento with the classic Tsundere line "I had extra, it's not like I made it for you" or anything? Humph. Even Matsuri's eyebrow is twitching noticeably. So that's it. Yes, the heroine just has bad cooking capabilities. All we need to do is raise the poison resistance stat for our character before continuing her route. Yes, that must be it. Matsuri decided with a scary smile on her face. Issei didn't even want to figure out how she plans on discovering the poison resistance skill. 20 minutes in and Issei starts to slowly back away from Matsuri inches by inches. The Silverette was letting loose enough concentrated killing intent to cause illusions of death scenarios to happen from the corner of his eyes if he stayed close enough to her. So far, they discovered around 2/3 of the bad ends that was programmed into game, and the heroine is still actively trying to kill them. First was the poison cooking, then came the accidental flaming arrow headshots. After came the real sword kendo fights and the barehanded wrestling contest, with her pet bears, plural. The latest attempt that ticked Matsuri off extra hard was the heroine accidentally dropping a pot of steaming hot ramen broth onto the main character from 8 buildings up. 40 minutes into game, and Naruto joined in. He gave the Tsundere one look and said, "Creepy-ass Uchiha bastard." Though neither Matsuri nor Issei knew what an Uchiha is, they both nodded in yes when they registered the emotions behind his voice. Naruto really did throw the PXB out the window hole when he saw the travesty she did to ramen. Dirt walked in a moment later, rubbing his head and giving the group a raised eyebrow while waving around a pink PXB. The group silently crowded Matsuri as she continued to play. 1 hour and 62 bad ends away, the group cheered as the Tsundere finally admits that she likes the main character's hardiness and occasional company. They groan again when she drugs them and sold them off to some shady black market. Make that 63 deaths. 30 minutes after the first hour, Naruto, following Kurama's advice, discovers the hidden immortal skill that was a major part of the Tsundere route. The only way to get it though was to save the world from space invading aliens while playing an AF*NAL fantasy-like setting. The group groaned some more and Naruto said the thing that was in the group's mind. Who allowed the idiot that wrote the game's script for School Love Fest to write the Tsundere route? 3 hours and 50 minutes into the game and everyone half-heartedly cheered aloud again for defeating the third and hopefully final boss to finish the Tsundere route. They then quickly braced themselves for the death that is to come following anything that is good within the Tsundere route. After 5 seconds of dialogue and no sudden death, the group relaxes by a tiny fraction and pressed on. Thank you for freeing me from the curse that has rid my mind. Though don't let it get to your head either. It's not like I like you or anything, humph. The in-game Tsundere said after kissing the main character on the cheek. Aw, finally something that's normal. Naruto basked in the normalness of the scene that played out before him. Finally, we finished this game fully. Matsuri puts down the PXB and gives a wistful smile at it. It felt good to finish one of her sister games, even if it wasn't School Love Fest. Ha ha ha, the anxiety of the game shaved off half of my coffee cup. That was truly a mind-boggling game. Dirt laughs and leaned against the tense wall to relax. Wait a minute guys, there's still some more text after the ending credits, Issei told his friends and clicked the go button. Though, that doesn't mean I won't kill you now, teehee. The ending credits was dyed in the blood of the main character, and the screen showed the familiar bad end text that everyone knew by heart. Everyone held a shocked face for a few seconds before screaming aloud, "Damned Tsundere!" Just as the midnight bell rang for the opening of the second Love School Fest. Incidentally and much to everyone's horror, the second game was held in the future of the first game, and had the Tsundere as the mother figure. The first 3 minutes were filled with blood and bad ends. Oh hey, I think I have a bite, Issei says as he feels a light pull on his fishing rod. He held his rod still for a couple of tense seconds before the line was pulled, indicating that he hooked a fish. Really? Matsuri came over to him with a fishing net, and a bucket of stream water that already held some fishes within. Yup, a feisty one too, the brunette said as he attempts reel in his second fish of the day. Matsuri fished out a valiantly struggling medium-sized fish with the net in her hands. Swiftly removing the hook, she gently displaced the fish into the pail of lake water that held a number of other fishes. That makes 8. This number should be about enough. Everyone. We have enough now. Matsuri calls out to the other 2 fishers from further along the stream. Dirt jolted awake from his nap and knocked over the fishing rod that was being held to his side by 2 big stones. The middle-aged man looks around and half-heartedly wipes off his dribble before his brain starts to process what's happening around him. Naruto looks at the fish within his hand, shrugged and threw it back into the water. He then started to waddle back to shore to dry himself off and throw on the rest of his clothes. Apparently Naruto logic equates that all ninjas must have a semi-tolerable mastery of bare-handed fishing techniques. I'll start making the dough and noodles, the blonde said as he walks to the table that held the ramen supplies Matsuri had spread out earlier. I'll start on the broth, Matsuri declares as she follows Naruto to the table. Me and Issei will clean the fish, Dirt announces as he gets off his lawn chair and walks to Issei with the gathered tools for gutting and cleaning the fishes that were caught. Issei groans as he stands up from the spot that he has sat on for more than an hour. He stretched loudly to pop his stiff back and looks at the sun. The flaming ball was barely up to noon hours. It really is hard to believe that they have been here for hours, especially since they were all at the ramen shop just that morning. Earlier that day. Yawn. Issei noisily exhales as he slumps over the remains of his weekend homework. He glances at Naruto to see the blonde staring blankly at the game screen without really reading the text. Matsuri was absently standing next to Naruto with a dazed look as well, and Dirt was Dirt. The guy's blood is coffee, there's no doubt that he cannot get tired or even dazed. This shop gives off a lethargic atmosphere these days, doesn't it? Dirt comments as he makes the same assessment as Issei. The man puts down his newspaper and looks around the shop. It was empty, save for maybe one or two regulars that might come later for lunch. The shop is bound to have no more customers today. Sigh, can't help it. The shop sometimes hit a funk and the atmosphere roughens up because of it. It's part of business after all. Naruto shrugs as he turns off the game system he wasn't really playing and turns back to Dirt and Issei. Perhaps a change of atmosphere might help, Matsuri suggested as she went to make some tea for Naruto, Dirt and Issei. The three turn to her to have her add some details, and she explains we haven't gone out to do anything fun in the sun for a while now. At most, each of us stay out for an hour to do a task before cramming ourselves back into the shop. In fact, the last time I remember us doing anything outside was when we went to buy the Second Love Schoolfest game. Therefore, I suggest that we do something fun this weekend to liven ourselves up. The three males in the room shivered in phantom pain as they remembered the train wreck of a game that was Love Schoolfest. It's fishing season and I know a good spot a little west of here, Naruto suggested as he remembered a certain forest in his memory. If he remembered correctly, there was multiple streams and lakes that could have made a good camping spot. What a coincidence, I happen to have the camping tent and fishing gears required for a weekend stay in the woods in my van. Dirt throws in as he supports the first idea to do something active. Playing games and fun, but being in the sun might not be so bad. Guess I'll call my parents to say I'm going to be out with you guys for a while. Issei gets up and pulls out his phone while walking to the entrance to get a better signal. He paused while dialing and turns back to the blonde. Hey Naruto, can I borrow some of your clothes? It'll be kinda inconvenient to go back to my place and get some. The blonde shrugs and asks Matsuri, who's already going upstairs, to pack a few extra pair of clothes for Issei. Would you need any extra sets as well, Dirt-san? Matsuri asked the middle-aged man. He shook his head and pulled a duffel bag filled with clothes and other necessities. The girl nodded and continued her trudge upwards to prepare for a small trip. It took 10 minutes total for Dirt to pull up the van, Matsuri to pack everything, and Naruto to close down the shop for the weekend. Once everyone was comfortable and seated, Dirt turned on the van's engine and started nudging the gas pedal forward. In Dirt's van. At least slow down. There's a curve coming. Issei held on for his dear life as the middle-aged man drove a van far past its built-in limits. The manically grinning man stepped on the pedals of the van at seemingly random intervals for the car to gain even more speed before strongly twisting the wheel. The car drifted on the road and for a moment, Issei leaned out the window due to the momentum and saw the railings scarce millimeters away from his door. He was slammed back into his seat as the car regains its course and continued accelerating on the mountain paths that were full of turns. Ding, someone stop this man already. Ha 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 ha, the fun is part of the journey, Issei-kun. Dirt laughs off Issei's plea for salvation and pressed the gas pedal even more. According to the GPS, the next curve is in 2 minutes at normal speed limits, and roughly 30 seconds at his speed. Naruto-san, Matsuri-san, can you move to the left this time? We're about to